last week I got scammed out of 30 grand.
Hell. He woke up at like 4 o'clock in the morning for work and he heard this ruckus outside. Came downstairs in his skins, nothing else. And these guys were trying to mug this girl on her way to the train station in Newcastle with a screwdriver. And he screams out. He's an MMA fighter as well. He screams out and they both just go different directions. So he just picks one. He just fucking mows this guy down. Grabs him, puts him on the floor, puts him in a rear naked, and then just like on and off consciousness until the cops get there. You are interested in something, at the very least. Whether it's painting or horse riding or calligraphy, I don't care what it is. If you could do that all day, every day, and not worry about money, and there was no risk involved in this hypothetical situation, would you do it? Yes, you fucking would. So why aren't you doing it now?
Welcome to another episode of Peak Podcast. I'm your host, Ben Sanford. Today we're joined by Josh Saunders. He's one of the best jiu-jitsu athletes to emerge out of Australia, cementing his place as one of the best in the world. Within less than 4 years, he attained his jiu-jitsu black belt, which is an impressive achievement. Takes most at least a decade to do so. So that alone speaks volumes of the man. He's got a relentless work ethic and his mindset is unmatched. I hope you can learn a little bit from him today. I've certainly learned a lot from his podcast, Mindset King, which is actually one of the reasons I was inspired to start up this podcast, Peak Podcast. I hope you can get a bunch out of this episode, but it's only a bee's dick of what he's got to share. It's a good kick up the arse and good motivation to do the best things you can for yourself and achieve the life that you want. So I'll stop rambling and I hope you enjoy this episode. Let's go. Thanks for joining me today, Josh. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
I want to preface this. My problems are tiny. Like, they're fucking minuscule compared to the shit people deal with. Especially like people always talking about Asia and Africa and like it's heavy over there. But like you go to Alice Springs or even here in Western Sydney, like people are living pretty rough. So just prefacing that, my problems are tiny, but your podcast definitely helped me through some moments. This year started with my old man got diagnosed with lymphoma, which is good now. I can beat that.
Thankfully.
Luckily they found that early. And then I went over to Canada. A bunch of my jobs fell through. And then I just burned through a bunch of cash over there. And even last week, I got scammed out of 30 grand, which was fucking shit. And normally I think I'm like
pretty onto it.
Fairly switched on, right?
Fuck.
So
Was it like a crypto scam?
yeah, exactly. I don't like. But hold on, let me explain. Because I know, like as soon as someone says crypto, I have no sympathy either. But for 4 years I've been building up, and then I did notice things called SMS spoofing. So basically, if your partner messages you, comes up with her contact, they can do the same thing. So it would come up under that name. So like if it was Combank, came up as Combank with the icon, and then it just said like someone in Spain had hacked my account. And I was driving home. I'd just been full day at work. Then I raced to a 30th and I knew I had like 5 hours sleep before my next day at work. Saw it pop up while I was driving and I was like, fuck, pulled over. And it was like, if this wasn't you, call the number. It's funny because like I bag out people that react like badly in situations, like especially in the mountains if you get hurt or something. And people just freeze or fuck up. But like I acted on emotion, not with my brain. And I just called them and like they put me through multiple people like you would on a Combank support network.
Like a full network.
Yeah, and like the dude sat with me for an hour. I didn't realize that, I wasn't speaking with the platform. And they had this one phrase I didn't know they had. So I'd moved my money onto a new wallet thinking my other one was compromised. And then just watched it all disappear. Didn't sleep at all. Felt fucking pretty awful for 24 hours there.
That's rough.
Yeah. It's just like, no, it was really dumb. And in hindsight, there's little things you see. And you're like, why didn't I notice that? But just in the heat of the moment, I was like not thinking clearly.
Yeah. So they get you with the
Yeah,
anxiety.
I think it was like, they probably get a lot of people around Christmas where everyone's just distracted. And like, I think even if I wasn't driving, I would have taken more time to like initially look at that first message. So just like not full capacity there.
Perfect time, perfect place.
Yeah, exactly. I think the thing that really got me was that I'd pulled over to try and log into my account, and where I was had a bit of shit signal and I couldn't log in. So I was freaking out, and I genuinely thought I'd been hacked because of that. All the ducks were in a row for them there, and I didn't apply much critical thinking, and they had me hook, line and sinker like a dumbass. So yeah, I didn't sleep, went to work for another like 13 hours. Fucking felt horrible. But then I remember the next day I'd put on, I think it was one of the last 2 episodes, but like there was some nuggets in there. I was like, needed to hear that today. That was good. So pretty much just straight on went to bed feeling like, oh, there's a fire in my belly. I'm just going to make that money back 3 times over now. Like, fuck it. I'm not going to, there's no point. I can't do anything. It's gone.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's crypto, and you know that. And also don't put all your money in crypto. I'm not that dumb. Like, especially at our age, yeah, maybe you could put like 20, 30% of your money in there.
Yeah.
But like putting your whole life savings, like I know people have put their super and all their life savings in crypto. That's the kind of stuff that people commit suicide over. So don't do that.
Yeah.
And don't feel bad for me, because I don't feel bad for me either. I'm an idiot. Anyway, so that happened last week, but we'll move on. And then tore my knee in September. So I was training like, because work was quiet. I picked up like 5-6 days, trained like 1 or 2 classes a day, then gym. But I thought my MCL was going to pop for like 2 months, and I took a little bit of time off, and then I was like, oh, I'll go rock climbing and just surf and see if my knee gets a bit better, and stop doing jits for a little bit. And then it popped when I was climbing.
I'll just go do other extreme sports.
Yeah, well, normally climbing is pretty chill. Like,
yeah, it's slow paced.
It's like, yeah, but basically what I did was like a pistol squat with an external rotation, which is pretty similar to a heel hook in jits. Bit annoying, but that's fine. Whatever, move on. And like I just said, it'll make me better at training the other half of my body for jiu-jitsu now.
Yeah,
because that was my lead leg, and some other shit. But yeah, basically, yeah, your podcast has been pretty helpful for me, and I passed it on to a lot of people. So I appreciate that.
I get so many messages, and they're not super frequent, but I get them a lot. And they're the ones, like, I get a fuckload of comments on social media I don't even care about. So many people just like, and they're only perceiving one version of you, and they don't know who you are. So I don't take any of it on board. It's just hilarious for me that some people can make an assessment of your personality just based on one video, and like, oh, that guy's a retard or something like that. And I'm not going to sit here on my ivory throne and pretend that I don't do the same thing. Like, if I don't like your face, I'm not going to like your video. That's fair enough. But the ones that do come through where they send me messages, even a mate of mine who trains here, his name's Ben as well, was going through a shit period of his life, like addicted to alcohol, couldn't get off the beers and like all that sort of stuff, and up and down with the misses, all this sort of thing. And he ended up turning his life around, losing 24 kilos this year, had a baby girl, completely like 180. And I was talking about this with one of my students, Andrew, yesterday. And I said, it's unfortunate that people choose to be in a shit situation because it's a choice. Like, you didn't choose to be in the crypto scam, but you could have chose to sat in it for the next 3 weeks. And that doesn't do anything. And I said to him, I was like, look, people choose this. And the reason I know this is true is because 5 years ago, I was going out, doing drugs, going partying, being a fucking loser, no job, no direction, nothing really. Like, I worked hard, but as soon as things weren't working in the results and materializing, I would quit and change to the next thing and go to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. I actually had a similar sort of thing, scam. I had in COVID, hadn't started jiu-jitsu yet. This was before Zach invited me to the garage. And I got into the dropshipping sphere, like the ecosystem on YouTube. Yeah. And I'm like, all these kids can't be smarter than me. There's no way they can do it and I can't. So I set up a Shopify store, decided what product I was going to run. I decided on dog blankets in the back of your car that protect the leather in the front headrest to the back headrest. Called it Pet Pal to like mimic PayPal, thinking that was going to be some genius play. Got a logo, got it all sorted, ordered some stuff off Alibaba, got it drop shipped to the customers and stuff. Woke up the next morning with like 70 orders off one of these Facebook ads that just went crazy.
Yeah.
And I ended up making 15 grand in the first month. Blew my mind. I was like, I'm going to be a trillionaire. I'm going to be a millionaire straight away.
How good is that?
Was getting spam emails because obviously what they do is they fish all the advertising accounts on Meta, and then find your email address because your contact information has to be available, send you messages saying your account's been flagged, you're going to lose your account, blah, blah, blah. I didn't know that was a scam because I just started, clicked on the thing, entered my details, ad account disabled permanently. And I was like, fuck, this is the worst. I was like putting in orders for Porsches already.
It's so brutal.
And it's like, fuck, had I achieved massive monetary success at that point in my life, I would have killed myself. Undoubtedly, for sure. I had no purpose, no drive, no nothing. I would have blown it on frivolous things. I would have put myself into a very bad situation. And so I look back on that and I go, no, it was actually the perfect thing to happen at that time. And that's how I try and assimilate these things in my head, where I don't think everything is like predetermined in terms of determinism, because I think then why do we play the game anyway? If you're always going to have like an end result, what's the point? And this is what people don't understand when they set goals and they get upset when they don't happen, is they're trying to deterministically say it should be this perfect way and it should happen this way. But then why would you continue on if you knew that exactly what was going to happen? Like if someone replayed your life to you at 30 and they showed you the next 45 years until you died, would you not just tap out? Because you already know all the experiences you're going to have. So what's the point? And that's that, I'll talk about this on the show all the time, the Alan Watts 75 years dream thing. For anybody that doesn't know, it's what would you do if you could dream any dream you wanted to dream at night, but you lived 80 years in those 8 hours? And you go on in your first dream and you'd experience all kinds of foods and wonderful pleasures, and you'd go around all the world and travel and see everything. And then the second night you would do something similar, but you'd change it up a little bit. The third night you would get bored of all the worldly pleasures and you would go, well, I know what's going to happen. I can choose and dictate the dream and how it wants to orchestrate itself. And so what I would do on the third night was probably do the same thing, but I get bored of it. Like I've had endless pleasure for 240 years in a row now in 3 successive nights. Maybe I'll switch it up a bit. Maybe what I should do is I'll organize a surprise where I don't know where it's going to go. And then on the 5th night, you would go further and further out from that, not knowing where it was going to go. And the tale of the story is the 6th night, you'd live the life you're living right now. Because you don't know what's going to happen. Like we don't know what's going to happen in this conversation. I don't know if I'm going to get hit by a car in 10 years. I have no idea. But that's the fun of it. That's what makes it magical. And so when bad things happen, it's like, well, yeah, but that's a surprise to get you to the next thing. And if it didn't happen, your life would be fucking boring and there'd be no point playing the game anyway. So when they do happen, yeah, okay, it sucks. But at the same time, not the end of the world. You're going to get through it. You're going to live. That's the point. You're meant to have ups and downs and everything else. And people always, I forget who it was. I think it was Jimmy Carr. He goes, everybody wants the top of the mountain, but they don't want to climb. So when they're like assessing other people and they go, oh, that must be nice. I got a mate of mine, Oscar, and he drives Lamborghinis and all that sort of stuff. And people are like, oh, that'd be fucking sick. I'm like, they would. You have no idea what it costs to get there. You want the end result without putting in the effort. And that's why you're perpetually stuck in doing nothing, because you're trying to avoid all the, not negative shit, but all the work associated with getting the prize. So that's why you'll never have it. And unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on which way you look at it, the work is going to associate with painstaking stress and all the other things in proportion to the results that you get. So if you want big results, you've got to go through a lot of shit. And if you're avoiding that lot of shit, you'll never get the result. Simple.
I think Hormezi was saying recently, like, congratulations, you're in that phase. Like you're going through the shit. That's the last thing you think of at the time. You're like,
Yeah.
This sucks.
Yeah.
But like, if you look at it from a different lens, like that's where you grow the most.
Yeah. The guy with the long hair that was doing Mike Tyson's podcast, the host guy, the big dude, big white guy, he was like, his mum would always say, when someone was going through shit, she would always say, congratulations, because you're about to go on the rocket.
Yeah.
It's like whenever I've had horrible experiences, it was like this far away from everything turning really good quite quickly. And that was where I was 5 years ago. I had no direction. I didn't really know what I wanted to do with myself. I knew that lifting weights was cool and that was about it. And I didn't stick to anything and I wasn't really set in my way with anything. This was in the COVID period. And it's crazy to think that was 5 years ago already.
Yeah.
It fucking goes
So
like
quick.
that. And I was escaping from life, trying to play COD and video games and stuff because I was a loser. I didn't have anxiety or depression or anything like that. But I definitely could see myself saying that about my past because of my inactivity. I didn't act on anything. And I had these big dreams and big goals, but then I was torturing myself with them because I wouldn't put any steps forwards to do, or at least I would for 3 months.
Yeah.
And then I would have a week off, and then I'll be like, I know I'm meant to be doing that thing, but then I'm not going to do it. And then people just, the only thing that stops you from getting what they want is themselves. That's it. It's not the economy. It's not your family. It's not your job. It's not your past. It's not your repressed trauma that exists. Like, fuck. Like we'll say, our problems are tiny. There's guys that are living in the world right now that are slaves to lithium mines and stuff like that, and they have smiles on their face.
100%.
It's like, not to minimize everybody's problems, because that's a dangerous game, because then you think you don't go through anything and you're not meant to feel anything.
Yeah.
But also perspective is a nice thing to look at.
For sure. There's something I was going to ask later, but when I was in Africa, I was just like, you see people over there with phones as well, and I know, like, I just wonder how they like comprehend. Like, I know even for us living in a first world country, like, we still will be like, oh, it must be nice to have that or this, or you already feel that, right?
Yeah.
And some of the places I drove through last year on a job in Namibia, like, yeah, same thing. You'll see like mines and there'll be slums, and then up on the hill there's like a couple fancy houses of the fuckers that own it. And then like, it's horrible. Or like you'll drive for 100 Ks and you'll see one person. I remember I saw one girl with like a few jugs of water in 50 Ks, and that was it. Just in the middle of the desert, no trees, nothing. And I was like, how is she there and how is she alive?
Yeah.
Like,
And you've got so far to go.
Yeah. And like, but back to the phone thing, like, they have access to the same stuff we do now. And like, how do they feel seeing like Logan Paul throwing money away, like, or whatever it is? Like, I just, it must be nuts.
Speaking of crypto scams.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't even know if they have the same perspective though.
Yeah, I wonder.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I'd love to talk to someone from there. I'm definitely going to do a trip eventually. I've got a mate of mine who's a really well-published self-author. He's just written his first traditional publishing book. His name is Matt. And he goes to build schools in Nepal.
Incredible.
He goes to do mountain treks and all that sort of stuff. And he's been donating a shitload of money since he's been very successful since he was 18. I said, man, next time you go, let me know. So I'm fucking 100% keen to go there. It's because it's like I did a Christmas video the other day. I was like, I've had so much good shit happen to me this year. To be able to not have that privilege and then share it on and like spoil my family members, obviously take them out for dinner, say, don't worry about it, all that sort of stuff. But to not do that for other people that are struggling worse than they are is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So you know what? I'm going to go to Coles, get a haircut, go to Coles. I'll buy 5 bags of shit. I'll get toothbrushes, toothpaste, soap, all the stuff that I would want if I was on the streets. I'll go hand it out and just go do that. And for me I think I spent like $110. Fucking nothing. For me doing that, the amount of impact that could potentially have for those people is, well, like, people worship money for no fucking reason. Yeah. It's just so fucking stupid. But to be able to deliver that and then not actually follow down that path all the time. Like, I don't tell many people about this, but I did it yesterday with my missus. We're at lunch and these 2 old ladies were having lunch together and they're just having a conversation. And you think about, they might be on a pension and they might be like saving up for that and that sort of thing. I'm like, yeah, I'll pay for it. Just don't tell them. Table number 5, take care of it. Shh. I do it at this cafe all the time. It's one of my favorite cafes down in the West where I live. Yeah. And they're always like, why do you do that? I'm like, because I've been given so much and I've like turned my life around 3 times. For me not to be appreciative of that and then deliver that onto other people is such a waste. Yeah. And you don't even want to be like the Scrooge McDuck character that just takes.
For sure.
Because you like, it's hard to articulate, but no amount of material things will ever make you feel as good as giving it to someone else.
Absolutely.
Ever. I don't know, everybody talks about it like, oh, it's always better to receive than it is. It's always better to give than it is to receive. There's no innuendo there.
Yeah.
But it's true. It's true. And it's the law of reciprocity as well. It's the giver's gain. And so many people can learn from this. It's like, if you're in a shit spot, give to somebody else, make them feel happy, make them feel elated, make them feel joyed or enraptured or something like that.
Yeah.
And you'll immediately get pulled out of that. And I wasn't even feeling bad on Christmas. I was feeling fucking great.
Yeah.
But putting that top of mind, I think obviously makes the world a better place, but then it makes you feel better too. So you can sit and be, I think 50 Cent, he goes, depression is a luxury.
Yeah.
Like all of you people are just have luxury issues right now. And you're actually being selfish.
Yeah. It was something I thought was like comfort equals depression over time, basically.
Look at McGregor.
Yeah. That's true.
One of the best risers of all time. One of the best mindsets of all time. And just, for whatever reason, I don't know. I don't know the guy. I don't know him internally. I don't know what's going on, the demons that I've been battling, but fuck, if you're going down that path, I guess there's a sustained pressure to be able to uphold and maintain some sort of image, I guess. And then when your whole image is around being a champion and then you don't have that ability to do it anymore, like you kind of get, I guess it's like a competing idea of conflict. You know, in Inception, where they go into the second level where they're in the hotel room and the assassins come out and try and fuck with their plan. That's basically synonymous with your brain fighting the conscious versus the unconscious when you're trying to supplant a new idea, exactly like they are in the movie. Yeah. I think that's when most people get to, where they have this idea of who they are and then reality challenges them to give them the challenge, like we were talking about with the Alan Watts thing. But then they ultimately just fold back to their norm instead of pushing through it and going to the next thing. And you have to have a little bit of audacity and a little bit of delusion as well, but it's only delusional until it works. Like most people don't get over that stage like, oh, I feel like a fraud or whatever. You're going to, because you haven't done it yet. Yeah. You have big lofty ambitions, big lofty goals that you're going after. There's going to be more period of time than you haven't achieved it than there is when you have achieved it.
For sure.
So you got to just continue to go no matter what.
Yeah.
If you can help people along the way, obviously tying back into what we we're just talking about, it'll be such a smooth process.
Yeah. You're
still going to have trials and tribulations, but you'll be able to get there in a better fashion, in my opinion.
100%. Yeah, it's that like confidence comes from competence thing as well. And like, even I think you said early on, like your first episodes were not so good in your podcast. And I'm sure when I get to like episode 50 or 70 or whatever, I'll feel night and day different. But yeah, even for me, like starting this, worst case, I get better at talking to people, talking to a camera. Yeah. I've set up some interviews, which is good for work anyway. Yeah, who cares if it fails?
Well, what is failure anyway?
Exactly. Yeah.
When you quit, you stop doing it. Like the best example that I always come back to, people at home, YouTube, Post Malone's first music video. It is the biggest steaming pile of shit. He's got like braids. He's wearing jorts that are way too small. And it's just the shittest, worst edited video. But you know what? He put it out anyway. And he went, I'm going to do this. And he kept it up. Massive props to him. He kept it up. But what would his success be without that journey from the shittest video you've ever seen all the way to like the highly produced stuff and being in movies now and obviously being successful in his own right? Like people want to forget that sort of stuff. Why? Well, I'm going to feel embarrassed. What is embarrassment? You're choosing to feel embarrassed. Like I'll never be embarrassed for a failure because I'm still having a crack. I'm still actually taking a swing at things. I had this is a really good story. Not to toot my own story, but in this period about 5 years ago, I had a mentor who was a personal trainer, and he had built this company that was doing business mentorship. And he had this guy that he used to speak to. His name's John, and his company's name is Journeys of Wisdom. He's this old Southern dude in America, like gorgeous individual, super, super friendly, very lovely. And you can ring him, and I'll tell you how nice of a guy he is based on his payment structure. You just pay whatever you feel like the call is worth.
What a generous business model.
And he has no minimums, no maximums and whatever else. And at the time I wasn't making heaps, but I would always like try and pay the maximum. He gives you like a guideline of like $45 or $90, and anything above that's nice. But I would always try and pay him the $90 as much as I had. And he said to me, I waffled on about all these problems and all these things that I was going through. And he goes, you ever watch baseball? It cut me off halfway through a sentence. He goes, you ever watch baseball? And I'm like, okay, this guy wasn't listening to my story. I go, yeah, I've watched baseball. And he goes, do you know what the best stat for home runs is in the entirety of the existence of baseball? And I was like, nah, lay it on me. It's about 31% of every hit will be a home run. And he goes, do you reckon that stops them taking swings? And I was like, you motherfucker, you were listening. You were listening to my story.
Yeah.
And he goes, your problem is you're too scared to show up to the plate and have a swing. So you strike out every time. And it has stuck with me ever since. I still remember this was like 5-6 years ago. And I told this to an online client that I had. His name's Hamish. And he was the same thing. He would just never go and do the thing. He's like, I want to be a fighter. And I was like, okay, plan a fight. And he's like, oh, but what if this happens? What if I get injured and blah, blah, blah. I just cut him off the exact same way that John cut me off. I said, take a fucking swing. Swing the bat. He wrote it on his whiteboard, and I think he lost his last fight, but at least he's in the arena.
100%.
And I'm like, man, you know what?
Yeah.
Fucking commendable to you, because 99% of people will judge others for doing what they do without ever having done anything themselves. They wake up, they go to school, they go through all their life, they be good little button pushers, get the grades, do the things, go to uni, get the 9 to 5, take the safe, risk-free option, and then get let go 30 years later with no severance. And they failed at what they didn't want rather than succeeding at what they did want. Or at least if I fail, I've said this so many times, any day of the week, I'd rather earn 50 grand on my own back than 500 for someone else.
Yeah.
Any fucking day of the
100%.
week. Any day of the week, with all the stress, all the limitations, all the roadblocks, all the trying to figure things out. Fuck all that. That's all worth it, because at least you did it on your own, and then no one can take that away from you. No one can take away your experience, ever. And no one can pay you to not have it. I would much rather go out of my shield doing what I want to do than succeeding in someone else's shoes.
Yeah.
And I've always been like that. I've always say I'm the shittest employee on earth because I hate working for people. I had a big authority complex, especially as a young kid. And like my old man would always be on my back, and I'd always tell him to get fucked, and just didn't deal well. Like if he was leading and doing the right thing, like I could see that. I was like, okay, fair enough. But he wasn't. He was fucking around playing PlayStation and whatever else. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. That's fucked. And I think that's a blessing in disguise. People go, oh, my parents didn't give me a leg up, or they didn't raise me correctly. And even Zach, our mutual friend, it's like, well, that made you who you are. So no matter the shit that you go through, like you're now the better version of that. And then when we start to have kids, him especially, when we start to have kids, like, fuck, you get to be the difference maker.
Yeah, absolutely. I know, like, I was talking to a mate about it today, but we're talking about our families, and mine's quite small and like a little bit broken extended family. But like my dad was the first one in the generations to actually be like a nice, good dad.
Yeah.
Like his dad wasn't that nice to him, and then like his dad was even worse. And it's like that you do get that option. You either like become, you know, people say you can mold your child into whatever you are, but sometimes it's enough that they just go the total opposite way for the better.
Well, that's that parable, right? It's the two twins of the drunk dad. One goes on to become extremely successful. One becomes a drunk, and they interview them when they're 30, and they go, why are you the way you are? Both say my dad was an alcoholic. Both of them. And I'm like, fuck, that's such a cool way to look at it. Because people put, like we're trying for kids now, and people put a lot of pressure on themselves to be the perfect influence. And there's a lot of pressure associated because you don't want to fuck it up. But that's like people saying, I don't want to fuck up life. You can't. I mean, look, I hope for people that watch this, they don't become junkies and idiots and, you know, whatever. But you can't fuck it up. There is no failure, because you're going to wake up tomorrow and you're going to go. Jordan Peterson has that mad quote. He's like, the cool thing about life is that you're all in. As soon as you're born, you are destined to die.
Yeah.
So you may as well fill in the meantime with shit you want to do, and realize that you're all in anyway, so you can't half-ass anything because you live. You're existing. Go for it. Take the swing. Take the risk. Go for the whatever you want to have happen. Maybe it's not diamond watches and Lamborghinis like Andrew Tate wants you to think it is. Maybe it's starting your scrapbooking business and doing that instead of working for a shit boss that hates you. Maybe it's teaching tennis to young kids. Maybe it's going to prisons and being a leader in that aspect. Maybe it's what I want to eventually start doing is speaking on stages and doing tours and all that sort of stuff. Like after jiu-jitsu, my body falls apart and they got to wheel me out.
Yeah, that'd be unreal. I was just thinking there's a gentleman I want to interview, and he, on that point of you can't fuck it up, like I've only read 20 pages from his book and they're fucking horrible. He has experienced the worst life I've ever heard of, basically. But now he's, you know, exactly like you said, he would spend all his free time going down to Sydney with like bags of stuff to like hand out to these people on the streets, because he's been there himself. And like, he's like turned his life around incredibly and he's doing great things, and yeah, so impressive. I think that alone is more impressive than most of the people I'll interview on like their accomplishments. Like the fact that he come from there to doing such good things for people and like spreading that message, and really impressive. And also like you said, with working for yourself. Like I remember when I first started my photography page back in high school, I was like 12 or 13 and everyone would mock me for it. Most people now are like, fuck, your job's cool. Yeah, but how many hours did I do for free? I still do it for free. Like this is for free. You got to earn it and it doesn't come easy. But yeah, it's fucking awesome and I love it.
But the same people that were critiquing it back then are the same ones that work at, like, not belittling them at all, but they work at Coles and they hate it. No one is showing up. No one's showing up, geared up, barred up to go and stack shelves.
Yeah.
You're not. I fucking guarantee it.
I did like 2 months at a IGA supermarket when I was 15. It was my least favorite. Like I landscaped. I was a laborer from like year 7 till 20.
Yeah.
And that's fucking hard, but it was way better than stacking shelves. Like
it's
that
soul
place,
crushing.
Yeah, everyone in there was a guy who'd worked there for like 9 years, same level as me. I was just like, what are you doing?
Man.
I'm not belittling someone that like needs to work at a supermarket.
Yeah.
Like I said in another podcast, like if your job enables you to live a life you want outside of work, 100%.
For
do
sure.
Whatever. Doesn't matter. But if you like got goals and you want to achieve that, don't stay there. That's for sure.
If you don't, sure. If you don't have big ambitions, big dreams, whatever, but I don't think that's genuine. I really don't. You are interested in something at the very least.
Yeah.
Whether it's painting or horse riding or calligraphy, I don't care what it is. If you could do that all day, every day, and not worry about money, and there was no risk involved in this hypothetical situation, would you do it? Yes, you fucking would. So why aren't you doing it now? And the world gets 10 times better. Like, okay, yeah, Amazon supplies thousands of jobs, hundreds of thousands of jobs in America. Ask any one of those cunts except Jeff Bezos, is this what you want to be doing? Probably not.
No.
Probably not. Like, I'm not saying everybody hates it. Some people are very grateful. Like, they jump over the border and they're like, oh, I get to earn money now. This is great. And for them, that is a dream, going to America, being able to work hard, earn money, all that sort of stuff. There's obviously nuance in this topic of conversation, but I dare say it that 99% of people are living lives that they don't fucking want.
Absolutely.
Like how many people will want to do what, similar to you, like go all over the world, see things, take photos of stuff. Maybe they don't want to be photography, or maybe they would just want to go experience culture, and they're stuck working a meaningless job that they don't like, that doesn't afford them ability to be able to pay for something like that, so that they're pegged to this corner of the world where they can't escape. And so then they dive into escapism, watching Netflix and jacking off all the time and all that sort of stuff. There's a really cool YouTube channel. It's called What If Autist, and he's blown up recently. He's a young kid and he's just into anthropology and politics and all these things of social structures.
Yeah.
And there was a mouse study where they put, it's called Mouse Paradise. They put all these mice in this big study and they gave them all the food, all the toys, everything you could want. And they started fighting each other. Eventually, they started killing each other. Stopped breeding, stopped multiplying, and they all had mental health problems, and they were very aggressive, and they started creating hierarchies and cliques and everything like that. And you don't want all that stuff just afforded to you. You want to be able to work for it. And conversely, when they put them with all the food and all the toys and everything, but they made them work for it, they challenged them to get it.
Yeah.
Infinitely better. The breeding rates went all the way through the roof and everything like that. Now extrapolate that to today's day and age, where birth rates are declining. People can't afford houses. People aren't living meaningful lives with the jobs that they want to be working and all that sort of stuff. And obviously, full respect to these people that put 25, 30 years into a job they fucking hate because it's what they see is the only thing that they have available to them. But fuck, there's such a better way to do it.
Yeah, 100%.
And everyone wants to say, oh, well, that's easy for you to say. If you have that comment in your life whatsoever, you're avoiding your responsibilities. Someone said that to Jimmy Carr, and Jimmy Carr does 300 odd shows a year.
Yeah, it's insane.
Are you fucking kidding? What other comedian is doing that? That is unbelievable. The prep, the study, the writing of the jokes, the facilitating of them, the working. Like, you would have to be on every fucking day.
Absolutely.
And it's not just the 300 shows. It's everything behind it. It's all the behind the scenes stuff, the lighting, the cameras, the preparation, all that stuff. And people want to go, yeah, but that's easy for you to say. You're a millionaire. Are you fucking retarded?
Absolutely.
Are you kidding?
Fuck. 100%. And like, I know people that live off nothing and live the life they want.
Yeah.
There's the dirtbag climbers, and they've like lived their whole life doing exactly what they want off not much. And like, even for me, early days, I was on minimum wage and I would still go to New Zealand and climb these mountains and take photos. I wasn't earning much. I would just sleep in a tent, try and avoid paying camping fees, all that shit. Like, I remember my first night in New Zealand, we slept in this little swamp near some fucking houses because we couldn't afford camping at the time. Set the bar low. But yeah, everyone's like, oh, it must be nice to always be away. I was like, well, I'm not doing it off much money. You go to Europe, you might spend 10 to 20K, and I'll go to, back then I'd go to NZ for like, $1 or $2 grand for the same period of time.
Yeah. It's what you make it. That's the most important thing. And I think people overestimate the monetary importance of that style of something.
Yeah.
I remember one of the richest moments I've ever felt was $300 from under 20s footy hitting my account that I didn't expect. And I was like, this is fucking hectic. I'm basically a millionaire. That's what I felt. I was like, I can go take myself out for breakfast. As soon as we finished a training session in the morning in Bronte, and I opened my account to see if I could get something to eat because footy doesn't pay you much and I wasn't working. And I rang my brother straight away. I was like, do you want to go for breakfast? He's like, why? I was like, don't worry about it. I fucking got money. Went, took him out, had a meal. It was great. I don't remember what food we ate, but it is so much about your perspective and how you perceive it. And I think people get hyper fixated on, as soon as I get the big shiny object, then I'll feel X, Y, Z. And you're never going to get there. Ever. It'll always be a higher high. It'll always be a dopaminergic rush all the way to the top. And you'll go again and again and again. And I know guys with hundreds of millions of dollars, but they didn't get there by being, oh, when I get there, I'll feel successful.
Yeah.
They were there when they were building their first company with $150. They were already there. And it's so important to think like that. Like you get to choose every single morning when you wake up whether you're going to feel like shit or not.
Yeah.
You really do. And you can look for the things that you don't have, or you can look for the things that you do have. Like every morning, I know this, the whole gratitude thing, everybody has like a weirded version to it. And I read Rhonda Byrne's second book, Not the Secret, the next one. It was all about this gratitude mapping thing. It's like 30 days, you do all these particular things. And I think day 17 or 18 is you go out and pick out a rock that looks really nice. And it's like your gratitude stone. I did all this. It's fucking stupid. And I got it. And you're like, yeah, I feel grateful. But you've got to actually impart the feeling of what it is. Otherwise, it doesn't do anything for you. Like you read words on a page and then nothing happens. You could read a book with a very poor imagination and just be reading the words and get very bored. Or you could throw yourself into it and think about what the things would be like if you were actually the main character. That's what people miss in that step. And then you look at all the things that you have in your life and you're like, what makes me feel the most grateful? It's like, oh, I get to wake up every day and do what I want. And if you don't have that, I get to wake up every day and I'm alive. I breathe. I've got lungs that work. I've got all these things. And people overestimate it.
Yeah.
And they think it's tied to achievements and money and all that sort of stuff. How about you get to wake up and your brain works? You don't have a crippling brain injury.
Yeah.
Or like for you, like your knee, as soon as that comes good, you're like, holy fuck, how good is it to walk up a set of stairs?
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I don't want to cut you off there, but even like the first time I went to use my clutch in my ute, I couldn't do it. I was like, this is such a small thing that I took for granted. And like every time at the moment, like when I just lost that money, I walked into an Audi and I saw someone with an amputated leg, and I was like grateful already.
Yeah.
Or like I left the hospital just after seeing the surgeon, and there was a guy in the car park in the sun, and I'd walked past him on the way in, and he had like both legs were casted up and he was severely hunched over, and I was like, oh, that looks rough. And then as I walked out, he was like, can you wheel me back in? And he said that so quietly, and I was like, fuck, I wonder how many people have walked past him and not heard him. And it was like over 30 degrees, and I wheeled him back in, and he was so grateful, and I was like, holy shit, my knee's nothing, and I know it's nothing. Like even when I did it, I was like, damn, oh well, that's life.
Yeah.
But fuck yeah, so grateful.
Yeah. The perspective shift is so important.
Yeah.
So important. And again, it's not, you don't like belittle yourself or minimize everything, because then everything you go through means nothing and you end up being a nihilist and you just tap out anyway.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, this could be significantly worse. What do I have to my capabilities? And this is what I talk about all the time with training jiu-jitsu with injuries. It's like, yeah, okay, your wrist might hurt, but everything else works. Or maybe your left knee's fucked, but your right knee isn't. And so there's two ways of looking at it. You're like, oh, I can't do the things I normally do. This sucks, blah, blah, blah. And you just ruminate on that.
Yeah.
Or you go, oh, I've got so much opportunity to work my bad side at the moment. that I wouldn't have otherwise forced myself to do if I didn't have this. So actually, blessing in disguise, fantastic.
You'll be way more rounded.
It's just a perspective shift, and it's difficult to do. It really is.
Yeah.
But even like an exercise, a practical takeaway in the morning, instead of waking up and going, I feel tired, because you're feeding your data to your subconscious that will present you things to show you that you are tired. I have picked up this thing from a book that I was reading. It says, I can, I will, I dare, and I do. And it's not even attached to anything, but it sets you up in this mindset of like, all right, what am I going to do today then?
Yeah.
What am I going to achieve? What am I going to go for? What am I going to put together? And since then, like my daily routine is not exorbitant, but I get everything done I need to do every single day.
Yeah.
And I was doing that beforehand, but now I feel good about it. And if you can sustain that feeling, you're fucking sweet.
Yeah.
Even when things go bad, even when you get injured, even when your missus has the shits, whatever, like all the trivialities of life, even when you lose 30 grand to a dumb crypto scam.
Absolutely. I think I might switch back to jiu-jitsu. We'll ask, like, can you explain what jiu-jitsu is for all the people who have no idea and they just see butt scooting on the internet?
Yeah.
Because we'll show you a highlight reel of like what Josh actually does, and
That'd be
it's
good.
real jiu-jitsu.
It's butt scooting, it's gay stuff. It's the part of the UFC where people start to boo. This is like the easiest way to explain it. But it's grappling. It's a martial art. It's been around for ages. First in Japan and then popularized in Brazil and now massive in America. And I think in no small part, it has gained a lot of traction since the UFC and MMA and that sort of thing. And we've tied ourselves intimately to that because a lot of the champions in MMA are wrestling based, jiu-jitsu based. Very rarely are they just plain strikers. And we saw that from the very beginning at UFC 1.
Yeah.
And so that's gained a lot of popularity. And people do it for all kinds of reasons. They do it for self-defense, they do it for confidence, they do it for exercise, and they don't want to do CrossFit and get rhabdo and all that sort of crazy shit. They want to come into a nice environment like this and experience what it's like to simulate combat, basically. And the stuff that it can do for your mind is unbelievable. Because perspective, yet again, I was down the roundabout just not too far away from here, and I don't know if the lady was inebriated. I don't know if her brakes failed. I don't know what was going on, but I was going through a roundabout. She's on my left. She's meant to give way to me and just keeps going. And she's like doing this in the front of the cabin. I'm like, this bitch is going to hit my car. And my missus is freaking out. My heart rate didn't even go up. And I was like, she hits me, I'm insured. I don't give a fuck. As long as I'm not getting bashed or stabbed or whatever, it'll be okay. And then just kept going on my way. She goes, oh my God, do you believe that? That's so crazy. And I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Oh, well. Yeah.
Yeah. And it just anchors you to basically no fucks left to give, because you're not stuck under somebody who can't get off you, and you're not simulating or extrapolating that to, if I can't get someone off me in a long enough time frame, I will die. And so everything below, I will die, doesn't fucking matter. You're like, oh, they didn't put my honey in my fucking latte. Okay, fine. There's just so much shit you don't need to get mad about ever for any reason. And it does a really nice job of like tying you to that. If people want to get into it, they absolutely should. I know it's like a culty thing. It's like, yeah, I do this thing, you should join it. But yeah, if you ever want to experience something like that, it's the best.
It's also like the mental aspect of the chess game almost, where you've got like, you do one thing, I've got three more things I'll do now, and you might be 3 steps ahead already.
Yeah.
Of that next move. And
yeah. It's really cool for problem solving.
Yeah.
I've definitely gotten better at business because of it. So I'm like, there's more than one solution to this. I know there is. I just have to find it. Instead of hitting the wall and going, oh, well, this just will never work.
Yeah.
It can. And that's the cool thing about jiu-jitsu, because you get all these weird, funky personalities that do it. And it's always people that can't do other sports because they suck at other sports. So we get like the ragtag bunch that
can't catch.
Yeah. Can't catch, can't run. They like Gumby as. But they have the opportunity to be good at this. And so you get all these weird, eclectic personalities and business owners and people who do. We've got a doctor of cactus that comes here. He's a PhD in cacti, which is hilarious. And he's like really clung to it. It's great. And you get all kinds of weird, strange perspectives. And then that imparts on the way that they do the sport as well. So you're constantly reinventing. You're playing a Rubik's Cube, but it changes shapes as you're playing it. Yeah. That's really cool.
Unreal, for sure. That's quite cool as well. One of the guys at the gym I first trained at in Blue Mountains, his name's Trumpy, and he's a black belt, but he's blind.
Oh yeah, cool.
And fucking good. Like, very impressive. And his neighbor once got attacked by a junkie, and he like jumped the fence and put him to sleep.
Really?
Yeah, blind.
How do you know where he was? We say Marco Polo.
Pretty much. Yeah, luckily he knew, he could hear. Yeah,
Wow.
it's very impressive though.
They fascinate me. People with people who are deaf or people who are blind, fascinating, because you got all the reasons in the world. Like, talk about taking things for granted. Like, all my systems work.
Yeah.
Thank God. Not being able to see. And even when you think about like the next generation, I know everybody says it, the next generation's fucked. And my granddad pulled me up on that the other day. He goes, you know who said that about my generation? The prior one. You know who said that about their generation? The prior one, and so on and so forth. It's like the world's always ending.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh my God, the world's ending. I'm like, it's been ending since it started. Get over it.
Yeah.
And it's like, what would they do if they had one day in a blind person's shoes? Or what I do even, I'm not excluded from this. And then how would you appreciate everything else? And how much harder would you work knowing that you had a capability that not everybody has? And I try and remind myself of that all the time. You try and stay grounded to that specifically, because you're like, fuck, it could be so much worse. Could be better, and I'm going to work for it to make it better, but fuck, could be worse.
For sure. Yeah, we did some roles where we all kept our eyes closed, and it's so hard.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in fact, Sam was like, all right, let's roll like Trumpy for today. I think he'd done his LCL or something at some point, and yeah, didn't like everyone tried with one leg as well, and you're like, wow.
Yeah.
This shit's hard.
Yeah, 100%.
The appreciation for not even seeing is wild.
It's
Obviously,
cool.
like, you don't do stand up and just
And
blast
double legging.
Trumpy. But
You just got to clap before you do it.
yeah, but anything else, like,
Yeah.
not do. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, definitely a sport we get obsessed over. I know I've spent many a time just sitting there thinking about moves in my head. It's not, yeah.
It never ends.
You just can't stop.
It never ends. There's always something you'll see, or someone will do something to you, and then you're like, motherfucker.
Just stewing it.
Yeah. You just sit over the steering wheel with 1,000-yard stare. You're like,
God damn it.
motherfucker, I'm going to get you tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's the best.
Absolutely.
I love it.
What's your favorite submission? Have you got one?
I've gone back on this recently because I used to say, well, you should be good at everything, but that's kind of like a shit answer. It's like the it depends answer. But definitely rear naked.
Yeah.
For sure.
Strong.
It's the best by far. The least defense for them, the most offense for you. Definitely going to put myself on to sleep like every single time. Cinched in, it's the hardest thing to get out of. Done.
For sure.
Most satisfying.
Yeah, it does feel good.
Most satisfying. Because like leg locks are cool and everything, but you know, I could break your leg and you could still fight me. But if I put you to sleep, it's done. You wake up and all your limbs are broken. I've had that vision before. I'm like, what would happen if I get attacked in the street? And thankfully, people look at me like an orc and they go, no, thank you. But if it ever does happen, it's like, yeah, if you attack me or my family, like I'm putting you out. And then while you're out, I'm breaking every single one of your limbs. And the cops are going to get there and they go, why isn't he attacking you? I'm like, every single one of his joints is turned inside out. He started it. I've got proof.
Ugh.
Maybe I don't, but let's leave it at that.
Oh, can you imagine?
There was a really funny story of a guy who trains here. He hates it because they made him seem as though he'd like slept in his dirty training gear, which he didn't. He's just wearing skins for recovery, which is actually bullshit now, but 15 years ago, everyone believed it.
Yeah.
And he woke up at like 4 o'clock in the morning for work and he heard this ruckus outside, came downstairs in his skins, nothing else. And these guys were trying to mug this girl on her way to the train station in Newcastle with a screwdriver. Wow. And he screams out. He's an MMA fighter as well. He screams out and they both just go different directions. So he just picks one. He just fucking mows this guy down, grabs him, puts him on the floor, puts him in a rear naked, and then just like on and off consciousness until the cops get there.
Wow.
Because there was some other guy looking out his window. He's like, oi, dickhead, call the cops so that when these guys get here. And they got there and they were kind of like concerned. Like, what are you doing to this guy? He's like, well, he stabbed this chick with a screwdriver, tried to rob her, and I intervened. And here you go. Here's your present. You don't even have to do anything.
In his skins.
Yeah, in his skins. And then the newspaper wrote up an article about it. It's still up there. You can Google it. It's very funny.
That's hilarious. Far out. Yeah. I was thinking mine's probably a triangle from the back and you take the arm and put it on your armpit as well.
Yeah, that'll break some arms.
It's pretty mean.
That'll break some arms. Especially if they don't know what they're doing. That's why you got to be reserved.
Yeah, no, I don't actually do it very often.
Yeah.
When did you start? You started around the same period as me, but you actually did well yourself.
Yeah.
I haven't been graded for like
that's
3 years, I
funny.
think.
Yeah, I started July 24th, 2020.
Sick.
So first COVID finished, got my license back from being a hooligan.
Yeah.
And went to my first official session. My first unofficial session was in Zach's garage in Marsden Park.
Yeah.
He rang me. He's like, "Do you want to do some karate in the garage?" And I'm like, "Yeah, all right."
Okay.
So he came pick me up, trained with a bunch of his mates and my mates. They'd been training for like 3 and 6 months, respectively, and put all of them inside control, squeeze the fuck out of them, and there's nothing any of them could do. And they're like, "That's going to be a problem. You know nothing, and you're already beating us. So let's get you training and then see what happens." And then that was it. Just went from there.
That's wicked.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And that what led to that? Like you had done footy right up until 2020, or you had a bunch of
No,
injuries?
I'd been retired from footy for 2 years already. Ended up getting a preseason with the Raiders, playing under 20s, and then going through that program, and then ended up going to Canberra. Had a shit time in Canberra because I was still recovering from a broken ankle, and I kind of got a poor start on the preseason, doing a lot of the rehab, getting back fit, all that sort of stuff, and they gave me orthotics for my foot that actually ended up really buckling my knee. So my MCL just went, it didn't pop, but it was like under extreme stress when I was trying to run. I felt like a fucking mule straight out of the womb. And they thought I was taking the piss, like I was trying to get more time off. And I wasn't, but obviously it's a bad look. And that's what I can chalk it up to. I ended up asking the coach and I was like, what do I need to do better?
Yeah.
And he was just like, oh, I keep showing it. It's some bullshit fucking throwaway answer. And I already kind of realized the writing was on the wall. And so I kind of like just regressed back. Not the effort that I was putting into training, but just like trying to be a teammate and all that sort of stuff. I was like, I'm going to go back to Sydney, and I pretty much decided it. And then in the car park after one session, one afternoon, they said, oh, we don't need you next week. You can go home. And I was like, sick, thanks.
Rough. Yeah.
I kind of knew
it was.
I kind of knew that it was coming, and probably more for my own fault than it was anything else of me just not really doing the 1%ers and putting in the extra work. And then I came back to Sydney, played a season, played really well, up and down from the second to the third grade intermittently. And then I got injured again 366 days later on the opposite leg. And I was like, this fucking sucks.
Yeah.
And I still went to the gym the whole time, still trained up a body, all that sort of stuff. And then got back to where preseason was starting again in the same position a year later. And I was like, I feel like I'm in Groundhog Day. I feel like I'm in a holding pattern. And there was a story of a guy when I was playing at the time who debuted at 28 years of age. And I'm like, fuck, that's really cool.
Yeah.
But also, can I see myself doing this for the next 8 years? And I was like, no. And then as soon as that fell apart, I was like, I can't do this. I can't put myself in this anymore because I'm going to get injured. I get long-lasting injuries, permanent injuries, and that will stop me from doing other things I want to do later on. And I was already massive into the gym. I'd been training for 10 years at this point already. And I was like, all right, cool. I will just go do a job where I'm in the gym all day. So I ended up working at F45 before the injury, and then obviously I couldn't demo fucking star jumps and bench hops and whatever they wanted me to do, so I quit that and then went into PT. Did that for two and a bit years, or 3 years all the way through, and then COVID happened, fucked my business, shut that down completely, and I was like, I feel like I'm back playing footy again. I get momentum and then shit goes down. I get momentum and then shit goes down. Really, that's just where you ante up and go again.
Mm-hmm.
But I took that as a sign, as like, I need something else. And I don't remember a specific date of when it happened or where I was or anything like that. But I was kind of like really into the mental side of things and listening to Tony Robbins and Les Brown, Eric Thomas, all these guys. And I was like, I need to put like a request out to whatever this is and find something. And then maybe 3 months later, I found jiu-jitsu.
Sick.
Yeah.
That's really
You
cool.
got like a second crack.
Yeah. And within 4 years, less than 4 years, how many? 3 years?
Yeah, it was 3 years and like 50 weeks, like 2 weeks inside 4 years, which the initial goal was to beat Kit Dale, like unofficially. And he's like black belt 4 years, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I can fucking do that. And then I asked my coach and he was like, you could do it if you wanted to. And I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'll just do that then.
We could.
And then that has pretty much set up everything else.
Yeah. And you trained here for most of it, and then also...
Yeah, majority of it now was here.
Yeah.
At the beginning, I probably did about 8 months before I started training here full time. I got my blue belt in 7 months.
Yep.
Won every competition, submitted everybody. I think there was like 3 people I didn't submit, maybe 2, even less. And just was smashing everybody. And admittedly, it was like they were not athletes. I was an athlete from a prior sport, had a huge advantage.
Yep.
And then much the same at blue belt, much the same at purple belt, and you start to get to brown and black, and the discrepancies in athletics start to even out.
Yeah.
And I'm still fresh. I'm still young. Even all these dickheads on the internet are like, oh, you're just smashing fucking tomato cans. And I'm like, not my problem.
Yeah. Whoever's in front of me is in front of me.
You can only knock down the pins that are in front of you.
Yeah.
Like, it is what it is. And then when I get to the world stage, I've had some good success there as well. So
yeah,
it's like all these guys that I'm competing against. When I faced Philippe at 2022 ADCC, he'd been a black belt 5 times longer than I've been training. He's like a 3rd degree. And I'm like, okay, he's been doing it since diapers. I've been doing it for 2 years now. Fuck. Throw everything at the kitchen sink and see what happens.
Yeah, it's rowdy.
Yeah.
Very cool to watch.
It's great fun.
Yeah.
It's great fun. Any student of mine that I get in my program, and I'm like, you got to compete. It's like something about it, the lightning in your veins feeling that makes you feel alive. There's nothing quite like it. And I'm sure everybody says that for their respective sport. I mean, maybe not golf or tennis. Or
yeah.
Maybe not. But there's just something about it. It's like that primal urge of like going out and doing something really hard. You don't know how it's going to go.
Yeah.
Nerves, roller coaster of emotions, trying to actually fix that from being a problem and overcoming that. That's the best. It's like win, lose or draw. You're overcoming yourself regardless of what happens. And just by showing up, just by putting yourself in the arena, you're doing well more than what most people will ever do. Coming out on the other side a winner, even fucking better. But even when you lose, it's the same thing before what we're talking about. It's like when you lose, it spurs you on to get better and better and better and better. And it's just, you continue.
100%. So for anyone listening and not viewing, where are we at the moment?
We're in not my gym, my coach's gym, Sydney West Martial Arts.
Yep.
They're brand new, glorious mats.
And they're very well known for having some pretty good athletes.
Pretty much cemented ourselves as like the top gym in Australia regarding competitors. I think we're the most consistent across the board. You got other notable gyms like Absolute St Kilda and Sydney Wrestling. You've got M16 in Adelaide. You've got Essence in Perth. But as far as like trials winners and success in like the whole ADCC realm, we sent myself, Ethan Thomas and Jeremy Skinner last year. So we had 3 out of the possible 5 spots for one of those trials.
Yeah.
Every other gym had 1. So there's like a big distinction.
For sure.
Yeah.
Wicked. And how do you train? You're training like 13, 14 sessions a week?
Yeah, I don't even keep track of it now. It's 13 or 14. It's basically 2 or 3 a day, every day. Saturdays 1, Sunday none.
When you walk into a class, I know for me, like I find I like try and have 3 questions when I walk in.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you approach when you train?
For me, it's not really like things that I don't know. It's just iterating on the things that I do know and deepening the understanding against different reactions. For me, it's much more mental than it is physical, I guess.
Yeah.
I've been playing with it for a long time, but it's just iteration and sharpening the knife every single day. There's a really good saying, I'm going to make a video out of it. It's like, if you got 6 hours to cut down a tree, spend the first 5 hours sharpening the axe.
Yeah.
So otherwise you're going to be chipping away at nothing. And hard work is good. It's necessary. It's still going to be hard. But intelligent work with hard work is way better. So I try and take a more cerebral approach where I'm thinking about everything that I want to accomplish within a session based on things that I'm working on or based on things that I want to achieve, and then forcing certain reactions and reacting off their reactions as well, and then having like play fun with it.
Yeah.
So I think this is an incredibly monotonous, difficult sport if you don't entertain the playful side of nature. When you look into all the neuroscience data, play is the best way that we learn anyway.
Yeah.
So I try and make it, I try and take it genuinely but not seriously.
Yeah.
The distinction between those two things, and have a playful element where we're still coming in, enjoying it every single day, doing the work, doing the hard work, but then also doing the mental work on the back end of that.
Yeah.
Of like, how did I see that sequence going if I did this? How did I see it going if I did this? And how do I extrapolate that out into this sequence and da-da-da-da-da, and it's just never ending.
Yeah. Wicked. Yeah, and then when you're competing, I know you've got that quote like, nerves sharpen me. Can you tell me about what you're thinking when you compete?
It depends. It depends on how big the event is. If it's a local tournament, I'm like, all right, I'm going to work on these things that I suck at and still prove that I can do it in unknown territory. If it's a big event, it's more not thinking that it is thinking, because you hear like famous fighters say it all the time, I wasn't really there. And I think it's taking your conscious mind out of it so that you react with all the unconscious building blocks that you've been developing in all the years and years and years and years of training. And so it's getting yourself to a situation where you can enter like that flow state, essentially. That's my main focus at the moment, because the only times I've ever lost matches really was when I was thinking too much, or I was thinking too slowly. And your unconscious mind can extrapolate data far faster than you can. And it's like that fight or flight system. You will do things that you didn't think were possible in that state. And even in the lead up to trials in 2022, I'd had visualizations the entire time of like me winning, already having done it before getting there.
Yeah.
And if you look at the videos of the day, my eyes are a different color.
Yeah, wow.
It's fucking super surreal. And I had this experience where I already knew that I won, not in like an arrogant or brash way or anything like that. People are going to say what they're going to say. But I'd lived it in my head so viscerally that it gave me goosebumps every time I would experience it. And the only thing I could ever see was me running up to Luke when I'd won, throwing him through the air. And now I have a video of that on my phone.
So cool.
And it's
Visualization.
yeah. And I think it's so important because your brain doesn't distinguish between imagined experiences and real experiences. It can't tell the difference.
Yeah.
And people watching at home, you already do this every single day when you worry. You have a thought that gives you anxiety or makes you nervous, and then you think about it, you ruminate on it, and then you charge it with emotion of being anxious, and you think about all the possibilities of how it's going to make, what it's going to look like, and then associative feelings that are attached to those images. And then eventually that thing tends to happen because you have nervous energy, so you're acting skittish, so you're making mistakes and dropping mugs when you shouldn't be, when it's a normal task, and all those sorts of things, kicking your toes on things that shouldn't happen. That's a very like nervous energy, jittery sort of experience.
Yeah.
If you can worry about the right things. It's like, what if you worried about having too much money instead of worrying about having not enough? You're just changing the suffix on the end rather than the prefix. You don't even have to not worry. Like, worry about how many medals you're going to have in your house and where you're going to put them all. It's just a little switch. And people are already doing it. They just don't associate that because they live in a world where their actions don't have consequences, because that's too uncomfortable, because then you're the reason that you're a loser. And you are.
Yeah.
Like, not to single anyone out, but I was a loser and it was me. And the only reason I changed is because I admitted it was me. It wasn't the economy, it wasn't the job, wasn't the family, the upbringing, the people around me. All those things are contributive, but they're not the reason. Because you can be in the shittest economy, the shittest job, the shittest upbringing, no legs, and still succeed. So why could you not do it when you're fully abled, all those sorts of things?
For sure. Yeah. That's something I was kind of trying to figure out this year as well, like work-wise, not blaming the economy because I'm actually owning it now. I didn't change anything. My gear got better, I got better, but I made like a fifth of what I normally make just because the market shifted. So I'm like, all right, well, what do I do differently?
You either look for reasons in or out.
Yeah.
That's it. There's always going to be reasons regardless. And the same reasons that people will succeed upon. Like, think about it. All the guys that were starting businesses in the 1930s that built generational wealth in the Great Depression. I mean, we're mimicking that now if you're paying attention, but in the so-called worst economic period of all time, people built $100 million enterprises, and they're starting every day. You just don't know it because it's a 50-year timeline instead of a 5-day timeline. And so what's the difference between them and the people who crash and burn? It's, if you look for opportunity, you'll find it. If you look for excuses, you'll find it. And Tony Robbins has a really cool thing with his episode with Theo Von. He's like, look around the room, point everything out to me that's red. So you look around the room, you see everything that's red, and you're like, okay. He goes, now tell me everything that's green. And he's like, I was looking for all the red shit.
Yeah.
And he goes, exactly. What you tell yourself, what you're looking for, is what you will find. This is a very strong, powerful machine, a very strong apparatus. And it will do things that you don't even know are possible to find things that you are telling yourself you're looking for. Like, I've been around very negative people, and they were always finding excuses, even where I didn't perceive that there could be. And I'm like, wow, that was actually really creative. Imagine if you had the opposite. Imagine if you were a creative problem solver instead of a creative problem finder.
Yeah.
And in my experience, that literally is all it comes down to. That's all it's chalked up to.
100%. I know, yeah, I've spoken with a few people, and like my experience with someone will be totally different, but they'll be like, oh, but they always do this or they always do that, and they look for like, they're looking for it.
Yeah.
And they just build and brew.
Yeah.
If you don't look for it, you won't even notice. You're
but
making
they're
it
smarter
up.
than me. They have better genetics, or they had a better upbringing. Their family life is better. Their parents are rich. They're a drug dealer. They're lucky. They're this, they're that, they're this, they're that. Stop fucking worrying about them.
Doesn't matter.
They're not living your life. And you know what? If you actually speak to those people, I had this big thing when I was younger. My mum would always say, oh, I want to drive a Porsche. I'm like, okay, that's great. Go get one. Nah, because the only people that drive Porsches are drug dealers or they're lucky. That was what I grew up with my financial literacy.
Yeah.
That was it. So I just assumed. All the rich people I know now, that I'm thankful and grateful to be around, there's some people doing some really crazy things that I am fortunate to know through jiu-jitsu and through other means. They're the fucking best. They're the most generous, the most supportive. They find ways to make things happen, and they see that in other people as well. And so I try to be that person as well. There's a couple of guys that want to start making money on the internet that train here, and they're like, well, I want to do what you do. Like, okay, post videos. That's it.
Start.
Not you can't do it, not it's hard, not you don't have the right substance, not you don't have the right accolades, you don't have the right stories, blah, blah, blah. I started my Instagram in 2018. It like wasn't that long ago. It really wasn't. Everyone goes, oh, it's popping off now. I'm like, mate, I've been fucking posting things since 2018. And when my things were getting 5 likes, and they were all my friends.
Yeah.
No one saw it. Granted, they didn't deserve more than 5 likes. They fucking sucked. You scroll all the way to the bottom of my Instagram, you go, fucking loser.
You're keeping there.
I do that. I keep all of it
Yeah.
because I can remind myself where I was when I started that. And I was posting videos of like my training as if anyone would give a fuck. It's my training. It wasn't helpful. It wasn't bettering anybody. I'd put out like quotes and stuff similar to what I do now, and try and like shape people's perspective, but it had no context. It wasn't a video. It was just a post with writing in a square. Like, when do you fucking scroll past one of them and go, oh, this is really good?
Yeah.
Like, I do it because I'm a nerd, but like not many people are going to do that. So it's like the evolution of packaging it in a nice way that get people excited about it, and how you like pull them in with the first 3 seconds, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But these are things you have to learn along the way, and you're never going to start it being perfect, and it's never going to be right the first time, and it's always going to get better.
Yeah.
And you're always going to look back on your first iterations and go, oh, that fucking sucked. But I'm glad I did it, because now I don't suck now because I started so long ago. Like, isn't the perfect time to start anything is 10 years ago or now. That's it.
So on that note, how are you earning a living these days? You've got HPU, the branding.
Yeah, just through teaching jiu-jitsu on the internet.
And that's white to browns. Is all what?
I changed it over since, because I can't name the program white to black.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons. Fucking racist.
True.
It's just a weird. Yeah, I thought about it before I did it. I was like, I can't do white to black. I could do black belt in 4 years or something like that. But the thing I was coming up against was it was a great story. It's fantastic, but it's also a little bit trivial, and people coming in expecting that I would give them a brown belt in 23 months, which is fucking retarded.
Yeah, right.
I don't promote you on the internet. That's so disingenuous and ridiculous. How inauthentic.
Yep.
And so I wanted to change it to something a little bit more blasé. I was thinking about this last night, actually. I think I might change it just to HBU community, because people are already associative with the brand and they kind of understand it and everything. But yeah, I teach people jiu-jitsu online, all the things that I learned from going white to brown in such a short period, and then all the mindset stuff that I teach, all the jiu-jitsu techniques, obviously. But then obviously I'm building a big media following so that eventually I can go into talks and speaking. And I don't ever see myself writing a book at this current stage. I mean, some people have asked me about it. I don't have a passion for writing, so it's probably not something I'll do, but I've said that in the past of things that I'd like definitely won't do, and then I ended up doing it anyway. So maybe I will, maybe I won't. I'm not sure. But I think the main focus now is putting out helpful shit that make people laugh, change their mind, build perspective, give them a different way of looking at things, of their current problems, and using jiu-jitsu as a mechanism to say, well, look, I can go into the fire of a competition, and yeah, I'm not going to die, but it's still very dangerous. Could fuck my elbow up, could destroy my knee, could have a sore foot for a long period of time where ligaments and bones and everything snap. It's dangerous still.
Yeah.
Random shit can happen. A guy broke his neck not too long ago. A guy got his contact fell out on the mat, put it back in, staph in the brain, dead. 21 years old,
Holy shit.
gone. Just like, it's dangerous.
That's wild.
For sure, it's dangerous. Yeah, fucking crazy. Or even a guy that was training in one of the gyms in Thailand got this massive flesh-eating disease on his shin, and it just like started eating his leg away. And he didn't have enough money to get back home, so he had to start a GoFundMe for his parents to be able to cart him back to Australia to get medical attention.
Wow.
He ended up surviving, thankfully.
Did they have to take his leg?
They didn't. Very close.
Yeah, wow.
I think he lost like 30% of the flesh below his shin.
I out.
And it was just, the photos were like fucking gruesome.
Yeah, about.
And yeah, it was bad. So it's definitely still dangerous, but then using that as a mechanism to say, like, you can go through all these things, you can still get better. And people talk about this all the time. Like, people respect fighting, even though people want to go, oh, it's fucking jiu-jitsu. People respect fighting because it's historically the thing that was so profound in terms of like the warrior class of history, like the gladiators and the Romans and fighting lions. And we're not doing that. They're doing it in Russia with bears and whatever.
Yeah.
But I think people respect it because it's just really fucking hard to do. And it's the same with business, but it's so much harder to communicate that lesson to people who aren't interested into business.
For sure.
Whereas if you look at somebody who's physically impressive, that's their resume. Basically, you're like, oh, that guy lifts. Cool. Or like, that guy can run a huge distance, or maybe less with swimming because it's less tangible because not a lot of people do it. It's this immediate recognition that your words will likely have more weight to them because you're doing something so hard. And like, if I wasn't doing the fighting thing, I'd probably be some PT and then just be some wanker on the internet. You're like, oh, count your macros, whatever. But even doing that still serves a massive purpose.
For sure.
Getting people fit, getting people healthy, changing the way they look at things. Be like, look, I'm just a normal dude. I turn my body from this to this. You can do the same thing. Like, being genuinely helpful and uplifting. I think the biggest thing for me is the perspective shifting in terms of the way that people think about their everyday life. Like, that's been the most influential for me by far. And if I can impart any little words of that and make noises with my face that make people change their life, I'm doing something right.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. You mentioned something once about how most people, like, they spend all this time thinking about an outcome that's not likely to happen as well. I'm not sure the stats, and we probably don't both have them right, but like 80% of things you worry about won't happen. And
Yeah.
then like another 10% will happen better than you expected, as you said. And then like that next 10%, it happens the way you thought it was, but it's not that bad.
Yeah. It's usually the outcome will happen, but it happened in ways that you couldn't have even imagined. Like, I had visions when I was 15, 16. I was kicking a ball in the front of my yard. We had this big cul-de-sac, and it's quiet sort of road where you could play on the road and stuff. And maybe even younger. I think I was younger. And there was 2 trees out the front of my house that looked like footy posts. And I was like, this is a fucking boy's dream. I've got footy posts in the front yard. How good's this? And Dad was always yelling at me, like, don't kick the fucking ball at the house because you'll break the window. I broke the window. And I would sit like the tee in the middle of the road, and I'd like step back. I was a forward. I don't even know when I had business kicking goals, but I just like doing it. I would go there for hours and go just kick goals.
Yeah.
I didn't even do it on the field, but I'd just done it in training so many times because I just liked doing it.
Yeah.
And every time I'd like set the tee, I'd think about winning like State of Origin or a game for Australia or something like that. And I would hear the crowd go, like when you kick one, or boo when you miss one, and all that sort of stuff. You play these games with yourself. And it was always in like a massive packed stadium. And 5 years after that, I was playing for under 20s for Souths against the Dogs in an Anzac Day game. And because everybody has a day off, they come to watch the 20s first and then the NRL because they got a big chunk of time. And we're 20, 30,000 people at ANZ. And I ended up scoring a fucking sick try.
Wicked.
Crowd gone crazy. Had the same tingles and the goosebumps from when I was kicking the ball in my front yard.
Yeah. And
I was like, fuck yeah, this might be it. Like, this might be the big crowd stadium thing. Like, I know it's only under 20s and no one's going to care except for me, but I sort of saw the dream coming into fulfillment. And then my career went, I was like, fuck, maybe that wasn't it. And then 4 years later, because 2 years off and then 2 years into jiu-jitsu, I go out in the Thomas and Mack Arena at ADCC, 20,000 people there watching me do my thing. And I'm like, fuck, the dream never went away.
Yeah.
It just changed. It just changed clothes. And then the same thing at T-Mobile. Like, not many people can say they performed at T-Mobile
Absolutely.
in front of a crowd.
Yeah.
Like, that's wicked.
Yeah, it's
It's
incredible.
sick. And I still pinch myself with this shit all the time because I'm like, fuck, what business did I have as like a 15, 16-year-old thinking that, imagining that and going over it all the time, and then it actually happening against all odds, not even knowing that this sport existed, and then still doing it. And McGregor has a similar story talking about kicking the ball against the wall with the soccer. And he's like, I'm going to be a soccer superstar and blah, blah, blah. And then that went to shit and he went to do plumbing and that. And then he was like, nah, fuck this. I'm going to go fighting. And then same thing. Biggest MMA superstar of all time.
Yep.
Still had the same vision. He was like sitting up in the bleachers with Ariel Helwani telling the story. And he's like, now I get to headline a card. I've still got that crowd. I just didn't know how it was going to happen. I thought it was football. I thought it was soccer. And then it was this. And you just got to stay true to it, I think.
For sure. And like, I think McGregor and John Jones both, but like they were living it before they were actually, like in their heads, they were living it. So like John Jones was signing that he was a champ well before he was the champ.
Yeah. Tapuria had his record on his shoes, his updated record on the bottom of his shoes before he fought Volkanovski.
Yeah.
Or Holloway, I think. Holloway probably. But everybody, this is the thing. People want to fucking ambulance. Probably cops in Penrith, actually.
Yeah, most likely.
Probably
What's
junkies.
Kingswood's the highest rate of crime in the state.
Yeah, probably junkies stealing some shit. God bless them. Tapuria, Jones, McGregor, me, like all these guys. None of us are different from somebody envisaging a building that they want to build and then having it in reality. None of us are different from Thomas Edison envisaging a world with electricity and a light bulb and going, I can fucking do that. One of the best stories on this is Dyson, the guy who invented the vacuum cleaner. How many prototypes do you reckon he went through before he got to the thing, well, the first gen of the thing we use now?
Shitload.
Random guess.
Oh, probably like 60 or something.
5,000.
Wow.
And it was made out of cardboard, and it was made out of all this different weird material, tinker. Just had this vision in his mind all of a sudden where it came to him. It's like, vacuum cleaners need to be better.
Yeah, wow.
That was it. That was it. There was a whole thing. His story's fucking fascinating. And went, all right, get to work. Let's build this thing. And knew what the end design wanted to be, but had no idea how long it was going to take him, how many iterations it would have went through. Went through 5,000 prototypes. Finally gets to the end. And in the 90s, I think it was, maybe the 80s, vacuum cleaner bags was $100 million industry.
Wow.
And he was using bagless technology. So all the big vacuum cleaner companies are like, fuck off.
Yeah.
You're gonna delete 9 figures of revenue out of this industry? Absolutely not. Couldn't get an interview. Everyone was laughing at him, not taking him seriously. Japan, they go, we like this. Let's do it. We'll work with you. Ended up working with him. It's now a $15 billion company or something like that. Just from one guy having a thought one day about one thing, going, all right, that's enough for me.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it. Why not?
How
And
cool is that?
imagine you're at rep 2,867. You're sitting there in your little office that you've built, and your wife's going, what the fuck is going on? Because the bills need to be paid and all that sort of stuff. There's another one, mind you. People are like, oh, I've got bills to pay.
So does everyone.
Every other person on earth has the same bare requirements. They got to eat, they got to sleep, they got to pay bills.
Yeah.
You're not special because you have bills. Get the fuck over it. Start doing what you want. It's not an excuse. Imagine rep 3,000 and he's just like fucking throwing shit, kicking the can, like, you know, the like the colloquial montage and when they're inventing things, they throw the paper into the bin and they're like, fuck, they're just getting shits. Still persisted, still had the vision, still kept it clear, went all the way through, and then invented the biggest vacuum cleaning company on earth.
Yeah. Haven't seen a vacuum in a long time.
And that's everything, right? Like, someone invented this chair, that laptop, obviously Steve Jobs, these lights. Someone said, you know what? The lighting in these studios fucking suck. How are we going to make it better? Put a big box on the front of it.
They used to blow up because they got too hot before
interesting.
LED.
Yeah, interesting.
I heard.
Oh yeah, because the big globes.
Yeah, big. Like you'd always wear gloves. Sometimes we still wear gloves in lighting, but with the older stuff. But yeah, I heard they had some pretty red hot moments in the hot 90s and stuff. And
Wow.
just like a whole
On porn
building
sets.
would go on fire. Yeah, probably.
Someone just getting railed and they're like, boys, stop it. We need to get the fire extinguishers.
Oh,
They're like, what for? You got chlamydia. But that's the thing, like anything that exists on Earth that's not obviously natural. Like no one thought of the ocean, depending on your religious beliefs. That building there, it fucking sucks. It's ugly, but someone thought of it, and someone went, I'm going to build it. I'm going to do it. Boxing mitts, laptops, cameras, phones, mats. Fuck, someone thought of it and went, I'm going to create this.
Yeah. Impressive.
That's all it is. And it's just staying convicted to that. And like the obviously that saying is like the richest place on earth is the graveyard, because that's where ideas go to die.
Yeah.
And I've had mates tell me business ideas. I was the guy. I was that guy. I was like, I'm going to do this business. I'm going to fucking sort this thing out. Never did it. I had a website directory business that I wanted to start. It's called PT Board, for like, kind of like the Yellow Pages, but for personal trainers. Because the only thing you were subject to is going to the gym where they had the board, and you could look at the guys and basically judge them off whether you like their face or not.
Yeah.
And like, they've all got the same credentials. They all look okay. Like, you know, it's a bit weird. And so I wanted to do like Yelp, essentially, and where the clients could give them reviews and you couldn't fuck with it. It had to be like verified and all that sort of stuff. I was like, this would actually be a really good idea. And then I just never went anywhere with it.
Yeah.
And I asked a mate of mine, this is how funny my mind used to be. I asked a mate who is extremely successful. His gut health supplement business does multi 6 figures a month. And I said to him, I was like, do you reckon it's a good idea? And he goes, yeah, but you just got to do it. And I was like, you motherfucker. Give me the validation that I need that I say my idea is good. Because that's what people do. People like come up with this fucking idea and they want people to say, good for you for coming up for an idea. Fuck off. Come up with the idea and autistically pursue it, no matter what. Yeah, it's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. You're going to have sleepless nights. You're going to look at what you're doing and go, fuck, this is just the worst ever. But all of that is intimately matched to the other side of the coin of, I can't believe I didn't start sooner. That's all it is. Like all my mates that are in real estate or construction, or I got a mate of mine who sells online companies and apps and stuff like that. And he was like, yeah, I had a massive fucking roadblock where this deal fell through and I couldn't make payroll. And I only had X amount of money in my own account and just had to make $1 million in 12 hours. So I fucking did, because otherwise it was sink or swim.
Yeah, wow.
Because I'm not fucking declaring bankruptcy. It's not going to happen.
How do you do that?
He just went fucking hard, jumped on the phone, sell, whatever he could. Like literally just giving away everything. And it's just those types of people that wouldn't see that situation and fold.
Yeah.
That's why they're where they're at. You got to think like these people that have made it, they've also not made it 500,000 times more than you expected.
For sure.
That's just the biggest thing. If people want to say, oh yeah, they're lucky, fuck off.
Yeah.
Luck's got nothing to do with it.
No. Yeah, for sure. On that topic, like neurodivergence or autism, do you have autism?
I have no idea.
Or you just say, oh.
I don't know. It's just a jiu-jitsu thing. It's like autisms and steroids is like the thing that gets you good. I don't like, it goes into a bigger topic of conversation of like the whole mental health thing. And it starts from like Hegel, and then it starts from Newtonian physics, and it goes into a bunch of different pieces. Who was the Freud, and then Jung was a contemporary of Freud, and he kind of undid a little bit of the work. And there was another French psychologist, I forget his name. He's in the 1800s. Basically the way that we look at the mind today, and it's all like fixed terminology. It's all bullshit. It's all like, oh, if you feel feelings sometimes, then that's bad and you shouldn't feel those things. And you need a label to describe the way that you feel, because then you can live underneath that label, and then no one can tell you that you suck because you've got this label on you.
Yeah.
Like, I say it in tongue in cheek, but I also don't think, like, my big gripe with kids who get diagnosed with ADHD, they don't have attention deficit, they have interest deficit. What you are providing them for them to go into fucking sucks. They have no problem staring at a video game screen for 8 hours. Where's their attention deficit? Yeah. Where is it? Put me in their shoes in an English lesson with a teacher who doesn't give a fuck. I'm not paying attention. Put me in a jiu-jitsu classroom, I'll stay 12, 15 hours. Not a problem. And so I think it's just a misattribution of this labeling system. It's like depression.
Yeah.
Does your life suck? Yes. Could you associate that with being depressed? Of course you could. But how about you improve every single measurable metric of your life? How about you look the way that you want to look? You earn the money you want to earn. You have passion in your job. You have a good spouse. You have a good family. you have all these things, or you create those things if you didn't have it, then come back to me and say what you are.
For sure.
It's just ownership. It's ownership and it's accountability. And my life was going nowhere when I was using my mum's logic for everything. Like, oh, it's somebody else's fault. I didn't do that. Oh, my bad. You know, life's tough.
Yep.
What do you do about it? This is just the way things are. Fuck off. This is just the way things are. Like in this economy, if you believe everything that else, all the propaganda that everybody else is meant to believe, you're meant to be struggling. You're meant to be barely making it by and all this sort of stuff, and things have never been better or whatever. So many different narratives you can attach yourself to.
100%. Well, I mean, like on that point, like the whole market is like one of the best places it's ever been in terms of trading, investing. But then the last 2 years, everyone said, oh, cost of living's fuck.
Yeah.
So like, obviously people are making a shitload of money somewhere.
Yeah.
It's just we're letting them convince us we can't make that money.
Yeah. There's always going to be a reason. There's always going to be a reason. And it's a reason that you're doing shit or a reason that you're doing well. And it's of my firm opinion that you get to choose.
For sure.
It's always a choice.
Yeah. Who were some of your current mentors or like major mentors in that big perspective shift for you? I know you mentioned there was a cafe owner in Redfern that like...
Oh yeah, Pej. Yeah, Pej the fucking
pretty
gangster.
cool.
He's mad. In terms of being a good dude, he for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And like just giving a fuck to the nth degree about the customer experience, that was massive. Like he ended up giving me free food. I don't know how many times. I wasn't even working there, had no inclination of working there, no sniff of working there whatsoever. I never had the intention. And he would just be like, don't worry about it. I'm like, why? What's wrong with you? What was going on here? And then when I did start working with him, he would have coffee ready on the windowsill for the bin driver, the guy that would pick up the bins at 4 o'clock in the morning. We didn't open until 5:30, 6.
Very cool.
And he would just get up early and just go give it to him on a Thursday or whatever the bin day was in Redfern.
Yeah.
And knew everybody's names, knew everybody's dogs' names, knew all their kids, what they were doing with soccer, just remembered everything like a savant. And it wasn't because he was some fucking genius. It was because he cared. That was it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, what a good dude. I saw him recently. At Comic-Con. My fucking missus drags me this shit every year because she's got family friends that are not family friends, but clients and friends and stuff. And they've got young kids and they want to go and whatever else. And everyone's like, oh, you the thing from Lord of the Rings? I'm like, yeah. In a fucking t-shirt, in a t-shirt and shorts. But yeah, I go and I ran into him and I was like, holy fuck, I haven't seen you in ages. You haven't changed a bit. I don't know what his Persian genetics are doing, but he's not aged a day.
It's pretty cool.
And yeah, he was great. He was a great influence. Sebastian was the next guy at F45, the next job I went to. Similar thing. Names, people, dogs, family outings, events, everything. He knew all of it. And I asked him one day, I was like, how do you do that? And he's like, I just genuinely care. And he goes, I've been doing this for 2 years, 7 days straight, never had a day off. Because I have to.
Wow.
Not that I have to, but he's like, oh, I get to. And it's crazy to see his work ethic was really cool. And he would always, we'd have a gap between the 9:30 class and the 10 class for the mums and bubs club, basically, the old ladies and the pregnant chicks and whatever. He'd always have a nap just to like recharge. And I'm like, fuck, these guys doing it, hey. And I think they've had a kid recently too. Great people, fucking awesome. And yeah, that was really cool. They were people I'd met physically. Jim Rohn, massive influence. Zig Ziglar before him. Early on, it was like less so Tony Robbins. Obviously knew about him, but less so about him. Eric Thomas, Wes Watson, like the Eric Thomas, not Wes Watson. I keep saying Wes Watson. Les Brown, Eric Thomas. Wes Watson's a fucking dickhead. Eric Thomas has that one video on YouTube. I think it's done like 150 million views or something crazy. He goes, there was a guy who was a famous mentor and he was teaching athletes and business people and whatever else. And this guy comes up to him and he wants to get mentored by him. He goes, okay, you want to get mentored? You serious about it? And he goes, yeah, I'm serious about it. He goes, all right, beach tomorrow morning, 4 o'clock, suit, fully dressed. And he goes, fuck, suit at the beach? What's going on here? Arrives, 4 a.m. The guy's already there. And he goes, all right, in the water. And he goes, what? Okay, I'm here. I'm dressed. I may as well. Walks into the water. Keeps going. Further. Gets up to about here. Dunks him. Doesn't let him come up. Rips him up. He goes, until you want what you want, badder than you want to breathe down there, you'll never have it. And I was like, fuck. I was like 15 going,
Yeah, that's huge.
you don't even know where to put that information when you're listening to that as a 15-year-old. But I was around it, listening to it. I've been like quietly obsessed with all that sort of stuff for a very, very long time. And I think you just build onto like a new mentor and then a new guy and then a new guy, then a new guy. You go all the way around the block and you realize different faces, different names, different people, same thing.
Yeah.
And even you go into theosophy and all of the religions and all the philosophies and everything like that, it's all the same.
Yeah.
Pick your flavor, whatever you want. I had my ex ended up leaving me 2 or 3 years ago, I don't remember. And I went to a relationship coach as like a psychologist on recommendation of my sister. My sister's studying psychology, but she's like one of the switched on ones where it's not about exacerbating people's problems. It's like, this is what you're dealing with. This is how to get better.
Yeah.
It's like a physio that will go, here's your gym program. Fuck off. Don't go see me again.
Yeah.
Like, go get better. She's one of the good ones.
Cool.
And this lady, Leslie, she's in the city in Balmain. And I was telling her like what I was going through and all that sort of stuff. She goes, you haven't been single for 5 years. You have no idea what you like anymore. It's just a fact of the matter. She goes, why does Baskin Robbins have 32 flavors? So you try what you want and then you find out what you like. And then you just go get more. And I was like, wow, that was actually really fucking good. I stopped seeing her after that. She was so good at her job, I stopped going.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck, that's really cool.
That's great.
And then so I took that advice and I'm like, fuck, I'm going to take that to everything. Try what you like, even like producing content and stuff. It's like, what do I actually like creating?
Yeah. Try
all the flavors. There's no wrong answer. This is the thing with jobs and occupations and vocation, all that stuff. You can't do it wrong. You can't fuck life up. You really can't, trust me. You can't fuck life up. So try all the flavors. Try all of it. Who knows? Maybe you want to be a paraglider. Maybe you want to be a surfer. Maybe you want to be a bike rider. Maybe you want to do like the Krusty Demons thing. Or maybe you just want to be an accountant.
For sure.
Who gives a fuck? But do it to the best of your ability. That's the thing I'm going to tell my kids from day one. I don't give a fuck what you do. I care if you do it to the best of your ability. I don't care if you do ballet. I don't care if you do soccer, tennis, golf. I will go to all of it. I don't give a fuck. Do your best. And if you commit, you commit. Your word is gold. Your word is your worth. Do not fucking say you're going to do something and then don't do it. Every time that leads to bad, disingenuous behavior. And then you can't trust yourself. Like my whole thing when I first started was do what you say what you do, and it still is. I just don't like promote it anymore. But if you don't do that, you don't trust yourself. And then when you say, I'm going to lose weight right now, the back of your mind goes, no, you're not, cunt. You can't lie to yourself. You can lie to everybody else around you, but you can't lie to yourself. I used to have this analogy that I would talk to clients with. And I said, this is personal training days with weight loss. I said, okay, let's have a thought experiment. You're at home, hungry as fuck. Open the fridge. You just had a family event. People have been over. Chocolate cake, top shelf. Looks good. It's thick. It's dense. Fucking, you can taste it in your mouth already. You go, all right, just one slice. But you've told me you want to lose weight. And you're not bullshitting me. You want to lose weight. So you cut a slice out of the fridge and you fucking grab it, slam the door. I'm there behind the door looking at you like this. You put it back, right? And they go, yeah, put it back. Day 2, you expect me to be there, but I'm not. Now what? Do you eat it? Do you not? And it was so fascinating to see their response to that. And then I would ask them a follow-up question. In the first example, I was there to see your actions. In the second example, I wasn't, but who was? And they were like, oh, it was me. 10 times more important that you give a fuck about what you do than what I do. Because your life is not my own. I said, look, I'll be blatantly honest with you. You give a fuck if you lose weight or not. I don't.
Yeah.
I really don't, because your results are not mine. I will help you to the degree of which you help yourself. Maybe that's why I didn't have a lot of clients. But
it's a good principle though.
But it's so important. It's so important. People ask me all the time, how do I get better at jiu-jitsu? Give more of a fuck about it than anybody else will give a fuck about your results or your losses.
Yeah.
How do I get over the fear of competing? No one cares. I've lost tons of matches. No one gives a fuck. We got a little 17-year-old that brings it up all the time. I don't care. Yeah, fuck. Whatever.
Yeah.
I've had thousands more losses than you will ever see. I don't care.
For sure.
Because if you dwell on it, that's your problem. And everybody else has got all their shit going on. Like, my ex-missus' dad, really good guy, genius. And she was having like anxiety problems going into shopping centers and stuff. People are going to look at me, blah, blah, blah. They're going to judge me.
Yeah.
He goes, all right, get in the car. Went to the car, went down to the shops, walked all the way through the shopping center with him, and then walked all the way out. Tell me 5 people's outfits you just saw. Couldn't. No one gives a fuck.
Yeah. Well done.
No one cares.
Yeah.
Seriously. Oh, I posted that video, it flopped. Okay, fucking 10 people saw it.
Oh, well.
Fucking who cares? Better that than 300,000 people seeing you look like a dickhead. Oh, well. And even if they do, who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
They're not going to remember. There's things that happen in your life, you're like, oh my God, my life is over. You're like, really? With the attention spans of people these days, 3 seconds, gone.
Yeah, and like you said, like Post Malone, no one gives a shit about that first video.
I'm the only one that knows about it.
I don't know. Yeah.
I'm the only person who ever
Savage.
I'm the only guy, some random fucking jiu-jitsu nerd from Australia is the only person who ever references it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Post Malone absolutely does not know who I am and doesn't give a fuck about my opinion.
So, yeah.
I'm giving him praise, obviously. But no one cares. Seriously, people make up all these ideas in their heads, and I deal with this with my missus now. And she's like, yeah, but what if they say this? And I'm like, what if they do?
So, yeah, the absolute worst is whinging about something you can't change. Like you just accept it and move on.
The best is like, oh, but if I don't go to this thing, they'll talk shit about me. They're going to do it anyway. And I don't want to do it. So we're not going. We're not. I just stopped caring. I stopped giving a fuck.
Who cares?
Maybe it's like, okay, some sort of social autism, maybe, sure. But I'm just going to do what I like to do, no matter what. And that's it. Tough tits. I fucking don't care if you don't like me.
Yeah.
I like me. That's all I need. That's it. And that's the Ilya Topuria thing. I was watching videos of him last night. I find his mindset fascinating. He's Spanish McGregor, but just better. And he goes, the whole world can doubt me, but the only belief I need is my own. I don't give a fuck what anyone else says.
Yeah.
I don't care. The only person's opinion I genuinely value in terms of like belief in that I can do something is me. It's nice when people come around and they're like, yeah, you can do it, blah, blah, blah. But if you're waiting for that, you'll never win. And if you're also paying attention to the people that say you can't do it, you take on board that information, you'll never win.
Yeah.
The only reality that is important is like the internal reality, especially when it comes to self-convicted belief. And the only people that make anything of themselves are the ones that stoke that fire every fucking day.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah. The only person that is there the entirety of your life is yourself as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Revolving doors. People come and go. People die. People leave for certain reasons, whatever.
Yeah. Just back yourself. I was wondering if you wanted to chat about steroids at all.
Yeah, if you want. I'm doing it now. I had a podcast with a doctor where I went through everything. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you want to touch on, we can go with your stack first, or even like, is there anything you've taken for injuries that's been more helpful?
BPC for injuries. I don't do TB500 because I never bothered with it. It's good. I've used it once, I think, but I just didn't really gravitate towards it for whatever reason.
Is it similar to test anyway?
Not necessarily. It's more of like a repair. I know people say testosterone is recovery. It has a multitude of other benefits, but yeah, those particular things, BPC 157 and TB 500, they're very acutely focused on tissue regeneration that has poor blood flow, so like ligaments, tendons, those sorts of things.
Yeah.
I've used a ton of shit. I've used Test, I've used Deca, I've used Primo, I've used Masteron, I've used heaps of shit. I had a consult with a biochemist he's a PhD in biochemistry. He had a major in physiology, or I don't remember what his other title was. But he said, look, there's going to be things that speak to you and things that don't. There's going to be things that give you ridiculous results where you feel amazing, and there's going to be things that don't. You just try the Baskin-Robbins method. Try shit and see if you like it, and then that's it. And I'm like, oh, okay, interesting. So dabbled a little bit in some bits and pieces, and then ultimately found out that less is more.
Yeah.
Every time. Less is always more.
Yeah.
And because like everybody wants to talk about, oh, I'm doing tests for longevity. Fuck off.
Yeah.
You're doing tests for a hard dick in the morning and make you feel like Superman. That's what you're doing it for. You're doing it so hard work feels fun. You're doing it so you can recover from the things that you do.
What do you find it tricky to balance all your hormones as well? Like, because you've got progesterone, test, cortisol, all sorts to
I'm on
balance.
such a minimal dose compared to what people would think it is. Like 175 megs a week. It's like barely TRT dose.
Yep.
it doesn't even register as a problem. It's because all my blood work is in a range where it should be if I was where I was meant to be 50 years ago, essentially based on that data.
Yeah.
And then cross-referencing that. And I think if you redline it, you're just going to have problems and issues with estrogen and everything else.
For sure.
Whereas if you don't redline it, you're just not going to have that.
Yeah.
The main benefit is that if you get sick and you're not on testosterone,
Yeah, right.
it'll crash. Or if you get shit sleep, if you eat shit food, I'm not saying that I sleep 2 hours and eat fucking Maccas every day. But it's just a consistency. It's like a homeostatic norm that just exists no matter what, no matter how hard the training is, no matter what's going on in my personal life at the time, no matter what my sleeping pattern's like. I dot all the I's and cross all the T's in that to make sure.
Yeah.
But if you did blood work on high-level athletes that aren't on it, you'd actually be really surprised at how shit their blood work looks. And you're like, this person's critically ill. Their white blood cell markers are through the fucking roof. All of the inflammation is sky high. Their test is 0.
Yeah.
And you're like, why?
So much cortisol.
This doesn't make any sense. But it's just because their bodies are going through so much stress and all of the other co-contributing factors of this lifestyle and screens and everything else.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Have you used HGH as well?
No, I've used the precursor for that, like the growth hormone secretalog. Is it MK677 or whatever it is? My mate runs a supplement company. He was like, look, if you want to get better from injuries, use this, it'll work.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, cool. Trust you. He's well more autistic than I am with all the research and everything else. And I was like, all right, sweet, no problem. And then when I have used it, everything's gotten better.
Yeah, sweet. Yeah, I've had a lot of people tell me to jump on BPC. I haven't got on it, but I know
It might not work for meniscus though.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's such a shit area to recover.
For sure. And I know some people take it too early, like because I had the whole surgery and it was locked for 6 weeks. If you took it while you were locked, you can like
exacerbate the issue.
Yeah, and you'll heal when you don't want to heal because you're not in that range yet.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, pretty much everyone you're competing against would be on it as well, right? Like it's just like that's just how it is in this.
99.9% of people, and even the guys that are claiming that, are so full of shit.
Yeah.
There genuinely might be some. There genuinely might be, but the gross majority, they're just talking shit.
Yeah.
And that's all athletics, all sport, not just jiu-jitsu. Everyone's like, oh, well, jiu-jitsu and MMA are the only sports that fucking do it.
Not true at all.
Have you not seen the NFL?
Yeah.
Those guys are 300 pounds with abs that can run 40-yard dashes in less than 5 seconds. Get fucked. You're kidding yourself.
I remember looking at the under 20s Melbourne Storm side at one point.
Oh, bro.
Right. HGH for sure.
Yeah, all the peptides and stuff, and all the things that like aren't detectable as well. Like the testing schemes only get as good as the current drugs that are being used, but then they're not able to predict where the current drugs or the future drugs are getting invented. Different compounds, different chemicals, different mechanisms of action, and it's very hard to detect.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And it's like a lifetime commitment now for you?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have no problems with that. That was the decision I made when I first started. I was like, all right, I did my 10 years in the gym like I said that I was going to, and now I'm going to see what all the fucking jazz is about, see what happens. And then obviously my opinion, that was an initial 12 weeks. And I was like, oh yeah, cool. Okay. And then originally my whole thing was just experimentation. I was just like, I want to see what it's like. People keep talking about it. Why not? And then obviously when I started diving deeper into the way that all things are going, I just made a decision. I was like, look, I'm just not going to put myself in a position where I'm being punished by being alive in 2020 with an endocrine system that's subpar.
For sure. Yep.
I think like people say whatever the fuck they want, but like it's my decision. So
yeah,
get over it. They're like, oh, you're fucking going to die early. I'm like, well, you probably are too from heart disease. So get over it.
Fucking anyone can die at any time.
Yeah.
No one knows.
You know what I mean? And it's like, it's a risk that I'm willing to take. Fairly educated on the subject. I have set up safety nets and parameters that won't be crossed. And if you don't like it, don't listen.
Yeah. There's a big difference between that moderation that you're doing and absolutely abusing it in terms of like a blast and a cruise.
Same with everything.
Yeah. Sorry for the quick interruption. Just wanted to put out a PSA while on the topic of performance-enhancing substances. For a balanced perspective, check out this episode by Dr. Andrew Huberman on the risks and benefits of therapeutic peptides on physical and mental health. It's a pretty comprehensive, unbiased resource. Even then, take it with a grain of salt because Huberman is a neuroscientist, but this may not be his exact area of expertise, and it may not be 100% accurate as well. So without looking at a peer-reviewed research paper, you're probably going to find some issues with what you're learning. So as always, do your own research and look through multiple resources, but this is a great place to start. And it definitely helped me make some decisions when every man and his dog was telling me to try BPC 157 and PB 500 for my knee injury. Make sure you have a bloody good medical professional helping you with your blood work and making these decisions and staying within the right parameters. If you're going to do any anabolic steroids or peptides or any of that shit, don't just go and get some dirty gear off some bikie named Dave. But anyway, I'll shut up. That's up to you to decide. Best of luck, and back to the episode.
Same with caffeine. People have 8 cups of coffee a day. You're like, dude, settle down.
Definitely a problem.
Yeah, we fucking have 7 mothers a day. Why?
Yeah.
I think it's stupid, but okay, sure, you do whatever you want.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember when I was 15 or 16, there was a kid at the gym and he was much smaller than me. And then a year later, he looked like he was like 35, 40.
Yeah.
He'd balded and like he'd pumped HGH and he was massive. I was like, holy shit. But like, yeah. And then another fella I knew and used to train with, he passed away. But like, because he was abusing it, like there's a big difference between those guys.
That's why I always gave myself the initial time limit of 10 years in the gym no matter what.
Yeah.
Because you got to build all the good habits. You got to stick with it. You got to eat the food. I ate lemon chicken and sweet potato every single meal 3 times, 4 times, 5 times a day for like 4 years straight.
Yeah.
Nothing else. And that was like bowls of cereal. That was it. That was it.
Yeah.
Like fucking massive bowls of Cocoa Pops, Milo Flakes, whatever. But then every solid meal was sweet potato and lemon chicken. And that was it. And everyone's like, oh, you just have good genetics. I'm like, I can show you photos of when I was 10. You will not fucking say I have good genetics. Everyone's like, oh, yeah, but you're 6'4". And I'm like, yeah, okay. So is fucking heaps of other people that look like shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cares?
For sure. I was wondering if you could touch on like your opinion on unhealthy habits versus good, powerful habits. So like even on the phone.
I mean, is this making you better or is it not?
Yeah.
And would you want your kid doing this or not? Like, for me, today's day and age, jacking off, looking at tits on Instagram, no brainer. Fucking retarded. You're destroying your brain. Doom scrolling, endless fucking reels of memes of fucking retarded. Like, you're literally just pressing a button. There's rhesus monkey studies on this where they hook up buttons to their brain where they can orgasm whenever they want. They press it until they die. They're just uncontrollable.
Yeah, wow.
And this, on a very sublimated level, is the exact same thing with what we're going through today with dopamine from phones and tablets and movies and whatever else. Or like vaping. Biggest smooth brain activity ever. It's just so retarded. My missus went on a holiday recently and all of them were vapors with all the friends that went. And they'll never watch this, so it doesn't matter how much shit I talk. But she literally sat there, got her phone out, put her clock on, 2 minutes between vapes. Every 2 minutes.
Wild.
And she was just like, this
that's
is
the monkeys hitting the button.
Crazy.
Mm.
My brother is a bit of a degenerate in most aspects, like still goes out all the time, still smokes all the time, smokes weed, smokes bong, smokes cigarettes, like all the shit you can imagine. Still gets obliterated all the time. And he's got himself into a position where he's got degenerative spine issues. He's 26.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, dude, when do you put it down? Seriously, when do you put it down? When do you put the fucking vape down? When do you put the bongs down? All that sort of stuff. Like, and everybody's trite example against this contrarian viewpoint. They're like, oh, well, fucking Joe Rogan's successful and he smokes weed. I'm like,
and
okay, are we really going to go down to that? And they're like, oh yeah, but what about Snoop Dogg? I'm like, okay, you've picked the 2 greatest examples of all time who have succeeded in spite of their problems, which is most people anyway. How many swaths of losers do you know that are in the backyard all day, every day, just huffing cones? You know 2 people that you don't even know that are on the internet that are famous. And then you go, oh yeah, but that justifies the mean. And I'm like, fuck, bro, seriously? But just all those things, like getting your life to a point where you're happy with it is so much more about not doing things than it is doing things. If you just remove all the distractions from your life, imagine what would be capable, what would be possible. Like if you just remove all the bullshit, you don't jack off, you don't vape, you don't smoke, you don't drink. Like go and have a couple drinks with a mate. Sure, fuck, whatever. Don't take my advice for it. I've been 8 years sober from alcohol this year. Next year will be 9, I'm pretty sure.
Congrats.
See, I don't even think about it like that. I was like, it's just a no-brainer.
Yeah, I don't find it very
You know what I mean?
anymore.
Like I could have a whiskey with my coach or something like that and clean glasses, whatever, but it doesn't add anything to the experience of what I'm doing.
For sure.
And it has a lot of degenerative effects, long-term, short-term. The next day you wake up feeling like shit and all that sort of stuff. And then everybody goes, oh, well, you got a problem with moderation. Yeah, maybe. But at least I'm admitting that. And then I don't partake in those particular behaviors. Whereas no moderation with training a combat sport is great. No moderation in your ability to produce things is great.
For sure.
It's fantastic. So you find out little bits about your personality and you go, okay,
Shift it.
keep me away from these things because they're dangerous. Keep me towards these things where I go full in all the time. And then that will produce beneficial things. And that's what people need to start to do without excusing themselves and go, oh, well, I need it.
Yep.
Like I used to do some pretty nefarious things when I was younger, 18, 19. You would probably know from listening to the show. And I would always have people come up to me to buy a particular item. And they would be like, I need more. And I'd always check them on it. Because I would partake if I wanted to. But if it was only if I wanted to. And I remember it was one of my mates, one of my brother's mates. She came in, she's like, I need more. And I was like, you don't. You would like more. Too bad I'm fucking out. But just leave me. Let me sleep. But just even the sentence and the way that you constructed the whole idea around needing it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Is such a fucking big issue. And I don't think people really think on that level enough to cash themselves out in the act. So they just continue to perpetuate it. Like, I'm sure you've been around mates from high school and whatever else that 3 beers equal bag.
Yeah.
And it's just like on clockwork. And you're like, dude, you can't see the connection here. You can't see that every time you get to the end of the 3rd can, you immediately ring that guy that you know and you just go straight away. You can't see that. But they don't. They seriously don't. I've been in a lot of places with a lot of people and they just literally do not have any understanding of it whatsoever.
Yeah.
And that like blows my mind.
Yeah. They always only smoke when I drink and then they'll just smash a packet or 2 at a festival or something.
But then they
like,
take the first
though?
drink.
Yeah.
Oh, I only smoke when I drink. Yeah, but you drink every weekend.
For sure.
So you smoke every weekend. Like, don't excuse yourself from the behavior. You're just committing to a shit behavior. You should admit it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. There's a gentleman, Ben Pekulski. I don't know if you've
Yeah, B-Pack.
followed him since I was younger. I think he recently said something about like diet is much more than just what you eat. It's what you visually consume as well. And I thought that was a really good point. That like
Absolutely.
what you surround yourself with on the device is like equally as important as what you're putting in your belly.
My like not so crazy conspiracy theme is that we're ultimately extremely powerful in any given set of circumstances. And like, especially your brain is the most impressive piece of material in the entire known universe. AI can't keep up with it. Nothing can keep up with it. Like, it's just completely fucking ridiculous. So powerful, in fact, that the powers that be need you to be constantly fucking distracted so that you can't figure out that you are the most powerful thing that exists. That's my whole like
I believe in that too,
theory of
actually.
understanding, because people can do amazing things. Look at a YouTube video. Humans are amazing. Just Google any YouTube video. Humans are amazing. You watch people diving off cliffs. You watch people building all these types of machinery. Those people are undistracted.
Yeah.
But they're very rare because the distractions are very enticing. Chocolate tastes good. It does, but also hijacks your dopamine system, so you don't want to work hard. It tastes good. Get over it. Krispy Kremes are fucking delicious, but they're bad for you. And it's like, fuck, but it tastes good. And then most people quit there. They're like, yeah, I could be like writing a script for a new video that I want to produce or something like that. But when I went to the explore page, I saw tits and now I've got a boner and now I need to get rid of it. And now I'm on Pornhub and you're like, fuck, bro.
What a cycle.
Seriously? You're like, that's how easy it is to keep you off the ball?
It's wild.
Seriously, if people could just eliminate distractions from their life, they get so much done.
Yeah, no, I also believe in that in theory as well. Like, how many blokes you go to the pub and they could tell you everything about a footy team and like their stats, and they know more about their footy players' health than their own health or anything, and they just like don't care. And then the other thing is like often those big events do happen, and then a bunch of like political things will get passed while no one's watching. So it'll be like, here's the Super Bowl, and everyone cares about the Super Bowl, but we just did all this.
Yeah.
But no one gives a fuck because they're distracted. So I love sport, but I do think it distracts the masses in a way.
Yeah, it's bread and circus.
Yeah.
It's just been revamped for modern times. But now it's at a critical stage where bread and circus is attached to you at every single waking second of your day. And it's hard to fucking get off. It is difficult because it's addictive. And people just go, oh yeah, well, I'm not addicted. You're addicted. I'm like, well, let's look at your screen time then.
Yeah. It's bad.
I mean, you're not sleeping and you're up for 15 hours, but your screen time is 14. Well, that's not good.
Yeah.
Because there's no way you're ingesting helpful content for 14 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, I use that app, Opal, just to block my phone from studying 7 till 7.
Yeah.
But, yeah, tells you like how much of your life you get back. Imagine wasting a third of your life on your phone. Fucking crazy.
Most people don't want to think about it so much, they just keep going. Same thing with food. They're like, yeah, you could be eating. It doesn't have to be bland and boring. It doesn't have to be chicken and rice. That's not the spectrum. It's not Macca's and then chicken and rice. It's not the only two options. But it's the same thing. They're like, yeah, but it doesn't taste as good. I'm like, I eat plenty of shit that tastes good that's not bad for you.
Absolutely.
And they just don't want to admit that that's the case because that would require thought.
Effort. Yeah.
Yeah, effort to some degree. But like, my dad said this thing not too long ago. It's probably like 8 months ago. There's another way of saying something that I always say is like, you either get easy hard or hard easy. You do the hard shit first and it gets easier later, or the opposite. And that's all it is. And yeah, okay, you can eat all the things you want to eat and taste all the things you want to taste and have all the behaviors you want to have and just basically fucking jack off all through your 20s and your 30s. But then when you have stomach cancer in your 50s, don't be surprised.
For sure.
And I think the whole distraction theory is that they're just looking at life in a way that it's only short-term consequences. So they're like, okay, but I can get drunk, but I only have to sacrifice tomorrow. No problem. And they just make that decision straight away.
Yeah.
Even if they're that conscious. And then tomorrow turns into next week. And then you get older and you don't recover faster. And then it turns into next month. And then blah, 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 blah. And it's so difficult because you can't see the inner workings of the neurochemistry of what's going on. Like you can see spots and shit on your skin. You can see burn marks and all that sort of stuff. But you can't see what it's doing to your brain.
Yeah.
I think that's the most insidious part of it as well.
Have you got a recent piece of material, like a book, podcast, or something you've listened to recently that like you think is worth sharing?
Yeah, I went back into Psycho-Cybernetics from Maxwell Maltz. Fucking great book. I think you have to be in the right frame of mind to accept the information because it's very easy to dismiss it as woo-woo, airy-fairy, manifestorial. I'm a chick from Bondi that braids my fucking pussy hair, whatever, doesn't shave my armpits and just does yoga all day. But if you genuinely listen to it with some attention and intention, I think you'll get a lot out of it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people can change the way they look at things just by the way that he explains how all things works and then gives physical examples of being a psychiatrist and then also a plastic surgeon where he'd change people's disfigured faces, but then their personality wouldn't change.
Yeah.
Like he'd get rid of the huge wart on their face, but then they'd still act the exact same way as if they did have it. He became fascinated with that, hyperfixated on it. And he goes, nothing to do with the outside. It's all about how you internalize it and the way that you perceive yourself.
Yeah.
Even so much so that he had this guy come in with big ears. And I know what he feels like. And he was like, I can't get good at business because people judge me for my ears. And he's like, first of all, I'm a plastic surgeon. Your ears aren't big. I've dealt with way worse. And he goes, oh, really? All it took for him to turn his business around. That's it. That's it. It was how he was relating to his situation that was 10 times more important than what the situation actually was. And even when he started his career, he didn't have any customers. He was a plastic surgeon from Germany, moved to New York. And in New York, there was no industry at the time. No one knew what it was. They only had it in Germany. It was very, very nominal. Moved over, and everyone's like, oh, you're moving to Manhattan. That's fucking expensive rent. There's no way you're going to be able to pay for that. How are you going to get clients? Da, 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 da. And he was like, nah, I'm going to do it. Moved over, went to Manhattan, paid sky high rent. His mum was the only call the first week of business. And she goes, how you doing? He goes, better than ever. Second week comes around, first call of the week, his mum. No one else, no clients, no customers. I'm doing great, doing fantastic, better than ever. Third week comes around, same thing, doing better than ever. How many of you watching would have 3 weeks with rent sky high, bills, all this sort of stuff and keep going without closing up shop, without packing it in? Fourth week, guy comes in. He was a business owner from next door that was a shoe salesman, had this weird thing on his nose. And he's like, yeah, I'll get rid of it. And the guy was a doctor friend of his who was introducing him. And he goes, oh, how much is it? $500. This was in like the 1940s. He's like, $500? Are you fucking serious? The guy's not a millionaire. How funny is that?
Yeah,
$500, the guy's not a millionaire. It's crazy. And there's so much you can buy for, so little you can buy for $500 in today's day and age. And it's just ridiculous. And he goes, there's no way you can charge him that. And he pulls him into a separate room and he starts berating him. He goes, that's my fee. Get over it. No customers, no clients, no business. And he just stuck to it. And the guy goes, all right, I'll think about it. Went to his shop the next day and he goes, look, I know it's a lot of money, but if we do like a payment plan or something of like $1 a week for the next 5 years or whatever that works out to be. And he goes, sounds pretty good. First client, done. Proved they could maintain conviction. And then his business was went from then on.
And you were mentioning was it massage therapist? Was that you?
Oh, yeah. That was the business mentor of mine that I had prior.
Yeah.
I was talking about beforehand. And no customers, no clients. And he rang up a bunch of his mates that were doing fuck all. He's like, can you sit in the waiting room to make me look busy? And then his first client came in. She's like, oh, wow, it's busy in here. And he's like, I'll see you in 10 minutes. And then he walks his friend out who he didn't do anything for, just walked him out and went, yeah, I'll see you next week. Good one. Amanda, you can come in. She comes in, blah, blah, blah. These guys are reading newspapers, cracking jokes, fucking around, whatever else. And that was the start. This is what you had to do at the very beginning. And you had to, even if you're creating, people like fake it till you make it, but it's not fake for you because you're just designing your reality ahead of time.
Yeah.
Like Bugsy Malone, the UK rapper, he drew in his notebook the house that he ended up buying 10 years later with a tree out the front with a tire swing and like the same windows and the same garage configuration of what the house was. And he finally started making some money, but he just drew it, kept fixating on it, kept obsessing over it. And eventually he bought that exact house and he shows the page and he shows the front of the house and he goes, it's identical.
That's wild.
And it's because of what Maxwell Maltz describes, your reticular activating system will only give you the response to the data that you feed it for you to tell it what is important. So if you tell yourself that excuses are important, you will see them everywhere. If you tell yourself that reasons are important, you'll see them everywhere and you'll excuse yourself from doing things based on reasons. But if you tell yourself that opportunity is just around the corner, you'll find it and then you'll take it and then your life will change.
Yep. That's wicked. Yeah, it was really good. I'm definitely have to look into that book.
It's good.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever received? That's a big question too. I know.
Best piece of advice?
It doesn't have to be the best, but one of.
I mean, swing the bat was pretty good. That's something I reference back to quite a fair bit.
Yeah.
Like take a swing. You're going to strike out 70% of the time probably, but it shouldn't stop you anyway. I really like you never fail if you only fail if you quit. Doesn't matter how long it takes you to get there. If you stop, you won't get there. That's the only reason you don't get there. It's not because of anything else.
For sure.
If you go west from Sydney, you'll hit Perth as long as you don't stop. There's going to be shit in the way. There's going to be desert. I mean, fucking nightmare to go through. But if you keep going west, you'll get there.
For sure. Have you got any favorite quotes? I know you love the ship.
I've got so many.
The ship's safest in the harbour.
Yeah, ship safest in the harbour is a good one, but no one ever chartered any territory from the harbour. That's a fucking firecracker. There's so many. Your work will work on you more than you work on it.
Yep.
I really like that because it's so true. I actually, to a point, I think that there is too many that people get like fixated on reading quotes. Yeah, they just caught up on like, oh, I read this quote the other day and it's like, yeah, cool. What did you do with it?
The mental masturbation.
Yeah, what did you do with it? You're just mentally jacking off all the time. You're like, oh, I know so many quotes. It's like, oh, okay.
Did you apply it?
Yeah, but your life sucks. Like, fuck, no one cares. Unless you're Diogenes, the cynic. He's got a great one. It was Alexander the Great, the most famous man in the world at that time, came to meet the guy. Diogenes, and he stood in front of him because he's a homeless guy. He renounced all his worldly possessions because he just gave a fuck. And he's sitting there laying down like this. And Alexander comes in and he's like, wants to introduce himself. And he's like, get out of my son. The most important man in the world at the time, the most accomplished individual who had ever existed up until that point. He's like, get the fuck out of my son. They just dismissed him. And then later on, Alexander said, if I could come back as anybody else, it'd be Diogenes, the cynic. Yeah, fuck, there's so many. I could spout off some bullshit fucking Marcus Aurelius crap, but yeah. Just get busy doing shit, I think.
For sure. What's the future for you? What are you aiming for in the next 5 to 10 years, would you say?
Consistency. That's it. I like where I'm going.
Yeah.
Fucking great. So I can't wait for more of it. I'm just going to keep chugging. Like, I obviously have big lofty ambitions and goals and whatever else, but they may as well already been done because I don't give up ever. Yeah. So it's like if I set the target of making $10 million, it may as already well be done because I know I'm going to follow through with it. And I know I'm going to do whatever means necessary to hire the people that need to make it happen or whatever. Yeah. Obviously winning world titles is on the cards for me in the next couple of years. But yeah, I've been talking about it recently with a couple of individuals, and even my missus and a training partner of mine said, yeah, I could see you doing that. Like, I want to get on stage and start speaking about mindset shit that could help individuals in any way, shape or form or any capacity. You have to build the thing first before people pay attention. So you got to win world titles, even if it was in jiu-jitsu, which is gay and retarded and mysterious, whatever.
Yeah.
You got to make money. You got to prove that you have some proof of concept in that sort of arena. Like, as fucking retarded as it is in society, people pay more attention to you when you have worldly possessions that they could never dream of. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I want them by all means. But at the same time, it's almost like a resume of sorts. Same as a physique. Like, you walk into a room with a guy of 2 applicants of a job. One's overweight. Their tie's undone. Their fucking pants are untucked. They don't present nicely. And the other guy is trim, shredded, like looks after himself. Maybe he's not the most shredded guy, but maybe he runs and he does activities, and it's half as expensive as the suit the other guy's wearing, but he makes it look twice the price. And he's got less credentials, but you look at him and you go,
ethic.
He could do some hard shit for a long time without needing the reward from doing that hard shit. I'm going to hire him.
Yeah.
Every day of the week.
For sure.
The best advantage you could do, especially if you're like a young kid watching this, is get jacked. You don't have to be Mr. Olympia, Ronnie Coleman. You have to look like me. Probably not going to.
Yeah.
But train. Be strong. Be physically capable. Be able to lift things. Be able to pick up lounges and fucking whatever else. Like, I couldn't even imagine a world where I looked at a physical task that I couldn't do. No way. Fuck you. I'm going to do it. I'm going to prove you wrong. Maybe I injure myself and maybe I cop the sweet into the stick. But you best believe that every day in rehab he's going back to that task to fucking prove that I can do it.
Fuck yeah. Yeah. That's meant. Yeah. Consistency and just building those powerful habits doesn't get much better.
Because so much of me wanting to do things that I've wanted to do for a long time has just been on the other side of doing it. There's no magic. There literally is no secret sauce. There really isn't. I spent 10 years trying to find it. It doesn't exist. There are things that can manipulate your mind to make you feel better about whatever you need to do and change the way that you look at things. That's all fucking great, but it's worthless until you actually get going and start doing the thing. And it is very basic, and I think it's basic, but it's the most profound because there are no shortcuts, there are no tricks, there are no things that you can get that will expedite any of that process. The universe is extremely, extremely giving and extremely fair. And to the direct response that you will give it effort, it will supply you reward. And so even when people try and cheat the system and they win the lottery, 80% of the time they're broke within 5 years. When people get massive inheritances, sure, they've got a fuckload of money, but they're overweight, their wife hates them, their lifestyle sucks, they go into frivolous things like cocaine habits and whatever else. And you're never going to escape all negatives and all downsides, but you will be able to mitigate a majority of them. You just stay consistent, look at the things you want to do and fucking start.
Unreal. I might wrap it up there, but yeah.
Thanks for having me.
So it's good insights and wisdom. Thank
As
you, Josh.
always.
Appreciate it. And definitely check out Mindset King and follow Josh. See him break some arms and get after it.
Hopefully not. I hate doing that shit.
Yeah.
If they don't tap, it's their problem.
Yeah, my mate Jimmy broke a couple in Sambo recently. He said like they just wouldn't tap.
Yeah.
And he took the guy's arm like the whole way around. He's like, "What are you doing?" And then they started again. And then he did it to the other arm. He'd done 2 competitors.
Fucking hell. Oh, well, that's a them problem.
Yeah, he was
not
like,
our problem.
"What are you doing?"
I tried.
Yeah,
Tried to give you time.
rough.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Yeah, no. Alrighty, thanks guys.
Let's do it.
Thanks, Josh. Get some water. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. Here's the part where I ask all that cringy shit that no one wants to hear. But if you could do the whole like, share, subscribe, comment, send it to a mate, that'd go a long way. PayPal me $1 million if you want, just so I can bring you some more episodes much faster. That would be really appreciated. Thank you.